Lo, 'tis a gala night within the lonesome latter years, a mystic throng bewinged, bedight in veils and drowned in tears. Sit in a theatre to see a play of hopes and fears, while the orchestra breathes fitfully the music of the spheres. Mimes in the form of God on high mutter and mumble low, and hither and thither fly, mere puppets they who come and go. At bidding of vast shadowy things that shift the scenery to and fro, flapping from out their condor wings, invisible woe. That motley drama, oh, be sure it shall not be forgot, with its phantom chased forevermore by a crowd that sees it not, through a circle that ever returneth into the self-same spot, and much of madness and more of sin, and horror the soul of the plot. But see, amid the mimic rout, a crawling shape intrude, a blood-red thing that writhes from out the scenic solitude. It writhes with mortal pangs. The mimes become its food, and the angels sob at vermin fangs and human gore imbued. Out are the lights, out all, and over each dying form, the curtain, a funeral pall, comes down with the rush of a storm. And the seraphs, all haggard and wan, uprising, unveiling, affirm that the play is the tragedy, man. Its hero, the conqueror worm. Edgar Allan Poe, published in January of 1843, The Conqueror Worm. Yes. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the countdown to Halloween 2021. Welcome to the Crimson live stream. Hello, Angela here. Hi, Dacob. Hi, everyone. Hello, hello. Hello, Rich Mitch. Hello, Edu. Hello, Jesus. Hello, Jack. Hello, Happy Days. Pixel Hexes. DCat. Hello, darling. Oh, DCat changed name? Royal... Oh, that's Gary. Gary is DCat. Okay. One of our mods changed name. Hello, Jenny, and whoever else is with us. Geez, there's a lot. Ollie, hello, Ollie, Leslie. Hello, everybody. So, today, as you can see, we are in a crimson world. There's a lot of duality going on. The topic of this live stream is crimson and duality. Crimson is a specific shade of red. It almost goes to purple. You could say it's almost blood red, but it's not. It is, and it's not. There's a lot of mystery behind crimson. There's different hues of crimson as well. Could be the color of vampires. Doesn't have to be necessarily. Purple could be. It's almost a purple color. Hey, I'm Louie. Lily Bonfi says, I'm getting vintage McQueen. Well, so the crimson duality, in fact, in the thumbnail, you also see the crimson doubled. You see Dacob doubled as well. There's always two. There's always two. Whether you're talking about Star Wars and the Sith world, there's always an apprentice and a master. In the Jedi world, in the Sith, there's also always the master, and there is the apprentice. The apprentice usually kills the master. Good and evil also keep balancing forms all the time. Vampires, in a way, balance love and lack thereof, and for everlasting life as a curse. So they balance the duality between what it is to be alive forever and yet never find peace. If the desire of many people is to live forever, when they obtain that wish, when that wish is granted, they suffer because they realize that every wish comes at a high price, and the consequences are usually quite disturbing, to say the least. And when it comes to crimson in particular, there are several examples of what crimson means and what it means to other people, what it means to other cultures. But in Greek mythology, there is a crimson Greek goddess created by 12 of the 13 most powerful gods and goddesses. She was created to watch us, the 21st century, and to stop Hades from overthrowing Zeus. So you could imagine that crimson in this case is a goddess that is protecting life on earth from Hades, and Hades being evil. Is Hades evil though? Is Zeus all good though? These are all questions that remain in that duality of what is good and what is evil. I have a couple of examples here. You know how evil is an interesting word, because evil is spelled E-V-I-L. All you got to do is add the D in the front and you get D-evil, which is the devil. But if you read that backwards, it means lived. If you take the D away, it means live or live. How can evil be the opposite of living? Well, because the living can be evil. So is being alive, does that mean that we are in fact in hell? Because having lived means to have known the devil, if we read it backwards. So where are we right now? Are we in hell? Is our reality as worse as it gets? Can it only get better from tomorrow? A lot of religions do believe that it can only get better from tomorrow. The worst is right now. Fascinating. Also, crimson is a name that several people are given. There are statistics in 2020. Crimson is considered to be one of the most gender-neutral names. It is not female, it is not male. There's a duality in it. It represents both. However, there have been more boys born who were given the name Crimson in 2020 than girls. But yes, there are people out there called Crimson, both boys and girls. I'm thinking, I would love to call my kid Crimson. I think Crimson is a great name. Let me do a screenshot for this in red. And I am also going to take off the jacket. Can't confirm everything shocking at the moment. Jack says, I'm in my living room. Could be hell. Oh, Puppet Motel by Laurie Anderson is playing in the background right now, says Jesus. Purple is for royalty, says Jack. Mask of the Red Death, says Rich Mitch. We got more crimson going on in Twin Peaks in the Red Room. The Red Room is a crimson room in reality, where spirits dwell on the threshold between good and evil. We don't really know what happens in that spiritual room, but it is a crimson room. The Red Room is crimson. Stephen King talks about a crimson king being the devil himself. Dracula's cloak is crimson red. Happy Day says, I'm calling mine Shalimar. Your crimson is Shalimar. Actually, I got Shalimar right here. We just reviewed Shalimar on my Essentially Dacob perfume channel. And I've been smelling this yesterday a lot while I was watching Bram Stoker's / Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula for the nth time. And Shalimar to me does have a crimson smell, I gotta say. It is crimson after all. If there's a smell to the crimson color, it would be Shalimar. It's a very, very tricky smell. Crimson Tide, says Rich Mitch. Mordor, says Jack. Yeah, Lord of the Rings. I mean, oh, you mean Murder? Red Room? Oh, speaking of the Red Room and The Shining, we also have the duality. We never quite understand if Andy, the little boy, is good or evil. You think he's good, but he channels evil. So we don't really know. We don't really know. Lily Bonfi says, Diana Freeland decorated her living room like a red hell. It makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. So, I'm going to begin with a perfume review. So I'm going to film this segment for Essentially Dacob, and I can actually film it sitting in red without changing colors. Welcome everybody to Essentially Dacob. Today I will be reviewing a crimson type of perfume. That's why that's why we're flooded in crimson red, fading into red, both skin tone and clothing. And it is almost Halloween, so hence the whole attire and look and mood and vibe. But I think no better time than this time, and I've been waiting months and months and months for the right time to review Tubereuse Criminelle in its current iteration, in its current form, Serge Lutens Tubereuse Criminelle, in its skyscraper Art Deco inspired building, where I envision vampires to live and prosper long lives. For those of you who have seen my top 10 Halloween perfumes, in that list you find Tubereuse Criminelle. It is an interesting switch between what I consider a vampire to smell like before they pass, well, as they're being transformed or as the living perceive them. There's a way you can smell a vampire when you're alive, and then there's another way you can smell a vampire once you are dead. There's a different perception of smell for vampires too, when they are alive, let's say still living, but have had blood taken from them, drunken by other vampires, and the living have already drunk the blood of the vampires. Then they are in the process of turning into vampires themselves. Once they pass away, they reawaken undead as fully pledged vampires. So there's that whole process between once you have drunken the blood of the vampire and dying. There's that whole process in between that happens of your life, which is kind of a hyper-sexualized type of life. You are constantly in a very sexual, horny type of pain as you are veering towards the death of mere mortals. Once you have passed away, you reawaken undead. A full-blown vampire, fully pledged vampire. Tubereuse Criminelle represents, for the living, Not so much. It's more for the dead. This is a very intense perfume that, even though it came out in the 90s, it's still in its current formulation, no matter how they might have watered it down, it still represents a very specific type of camphorous, salicylates full tuberose. And that tuberose smells of engine oil. It could even be perceived as, and that's why we are in the Crimson Room, as one of the smells of the Red Room in Twin Peaks, in David Lynch's Twin Peaks. The Black Lodge, the motor oil or the engine oil that we are told that we smell as we approach the entrance to the Black Lodge in the woods surrounded by sycamore trees, that engine oil is the gateway to the Black Lodge and the Red Room. It is an engine oil. It is a burnt engine oil. It's a very specific smell described many times throughout Twin Peaks. But I wonder, once we encounter the dweller on the threshold as we enter that room, and we, by that room I mean the Red Room in the Black Lodge, that duality of us encountering our own mirrored image, good or evil, it's still a mirrored image, that moment has a smell. So we left behind us that motor engine oil smell at the entrance of the Black Lodge, and we are experiencing the smell of the afterlife with a memory of ourselves being alive while we are passing on through another realm, another plane of existence. That's when tuberose criminelle comes in. It's a criminal tuberose. Now, I would not call this criminal in terms of killer or negative. There's duality here again, and I keep mentioning this, and I will never stress enough to repeat it. There is duality within good and evil, and also between what is criminal and what is just. You could see it this way. You could say that tuberose criminelle is criminal just because not everybody has smelled it, and it's criminal to not have smelt it. You could say it's criminal to not try to understand it. It is a criminal tuberose because it's a tuberose that openly speaks of its true intentions. It doesn't hide. It doesn't try to, through subterfuges, come to the point without really ever speaking its truth, which is what we know tuberose to be, because in history we've heard it 1,000 times, we've read it in 1,000 books, we've heard it in oh so many different reviews of or descriptions of tuberose. In the past, young ladies were not allowed to pass by blooming tuberose, especially not at night. You have to stay locked in your room because the smell of the tuberose, the indolic smell, the typical indolic smell of the tuberose, which is the salicylates, the camphorous salicylate smell, which is a natural part of the tuberose, is what actually triggers that opiate type of sexuality, which within a flower, when they bloom and blossom at night and you pass by them, it does smell intoxicating. And it was said that young girls that were virgins would experience an orgasm if they passed by the tuberose, the blooming tuberose. So they were not allowed to pass by them because they were not allowed to lose their virginity to a flower, mind you. But little tiny flowers, each one of them has a microscopic amount of this indolic smell. All of them blooming together add up to a smell which permeates the air, and it can travel miles and miles and miles, and it lures you in, tantalizing, just like we see in many movies portraying vampires as being mist or fog or turning into something that is not definable by form or shape. It is something that lures you in without you really knowing what it is because it doesn't have a material shape. Many times vampires don't have material shapes. They are just mist and fog. In the same way, a tuberose lures you in. So of course it is compared to sexuality many a times, but the criminal tuberose is an overdose of all of those indoles, and it is no longer tantalizing. It is no longer delicately luring you into a moment. It is no longer telling you, hey, it's all going to be fine. It's not a banshee. It's not a vampire. It's not one of those creatures that lure you in with their beauty, youthfulness, gorgeous bodies, the mermaid song. No. Tuberose criminelle is stripped of all of the pleasantries, and it is that dweller on the threshold as you are encountering your double self and you are entering that state of mind of confronting yourself with yourself. So what we have here is a dangerous smell. It's not pleasant, not at all. But because it is so truthful, you can't help but keep re-smelling it. And I'm going to spray it on now. It's the smell of truth, basically. So in the opening notes, you almost get a spearmint, peppermint, camphorous, engine oil, like a benzene or gas smell. And it shocks you because it is poisonous. Poison is one of the key words here. And duality. Duality because, as I said, good and evil both blend here. We don't really know what is what. This perfume was launched in 1999. Christopher Sheldrake is the nose behind it. Listed ingredients: tuberose, of course, styrax, jasmine, another indole, clove, nutmeg, hyacinth, orange blossom, musk, and vanilla. You're going to get the vanilla, obviously, in the dry down. But at the beginning, you will get a strange engine oil scent with salicylates and something which is very similar to grapefruit. It is almost like a metallic grapefruit blended in with majestic flowers, and each one of those flowers bears a dagger. Only in the opening notes does this perfume deliver pain and shock, because it's the first time you're confronted with your shadow self. But as time progresses, the aggression mellows, and you start getting acquainted with your shadow self. You start getting acquainted with who you are in reality. You start realizing the duality that you possess within you is a duality everybody possesses within themselves. The tuberose is just showing you, hey, I do have this pleasant side to me, but if you overdose on me, I am not that pleasant. When I lose control, when nature takes hold of me, when instincts take hold of me, I do not control myself. There is no rationalizing it anymore. I lose all rationality. I lose all humanity. Love becomes all-encompassing and the most important aspect of my existence. And just like in Dracula's life, you are ready to go to extra great lengths to obtain that feeling of love, to be with that person that you love, that means everything to you. And you're ready to deny the existence of any gods and nature and everything just to go and become one with that other self, which is your mirrored image, reuniting with yourself, again, duality. But a lot of people envision it as finding the girlfriend or boyfriend to live with them, to be together with them, to spend all eternity together. Now, we know that the lives we lead on this planet are limited. how much does a person entering your life really fulfill you? And how much must you first fulfill yourself in order to even be capable of loving somebody else? So when two meet, each one of the two sides needs to have already a very clear stability within themselves, because otherwise none of the two will be able to give to each other what should be given and what is mostly needed. I am filming this review live, so there are chats, live chatters in the chats. Edu Gomez, I've had this perfume for years, but the opening bothers me so much. I have come to love the opening because it's honest. Now, as it's slightly toning down, I'm already smelling out the jasmine, the hyacinth. It's softening up, and this is the magic of Tubereuse Criminelle. It starts off as a pungent dagger, and then it starts mellowing down, cooling down, softening down. And it turns into flowers blossoming in the night without any engine oil left. It's as if this perfume shows you like a mirror how the world truly is with all its monstrosities. And once it is sure and certain that you have understood it, that you have accepted it, that you have embraced the facts, then it allows you to live in that environment and find peace, because accepting the truth is always as if you were accepting peace. You let it in. And when you let Tubereuse Criminelle in, and it starts softening down, you start realizing, that pain in the beginning was worth it, However, as oh so often it is in life, Tubereuse Criminelle does not allow us to just stay in that blissful state once we have confronted our own dweller on the threshold. No. It gives us a moment of blissfulness, but then as it dries down, it shows us death. And here we get to the point where I have an issue with Tubereuse Criminelle, because at a certain point within its dry down, it is one-to-one exactly the same as Christian Dior's Poison. Christian Dior's Poison, which came out in 86, so we're talking this one came out in 99, so we are 13 years later. So obviously took notes. There's a lot of Christian Dior's Poison in here, and the tuberose in Poison also has that type of rocky tuberose dry down. When the tuberose starts grasping back at its opening notes, and it compacts itself. It's not fluid anymore. It becomes more rock hard and doesn't allow you in. So it's a smell that is soporiferous in a way. The camphorous aspect of it kind of returns, but it's as if it's been stripped of its corners and edges. It's kind of like it's almost like a kidney stone. It's like bile and a kidney stone. Kidney stone doesn't have a smell once you take it out, obviously, but it does have that, but only in the dry down, you guys. You don't get that in the beginning and in the middle notes, only when it goes to the bottom. Then you get that same note that you get in Poison's dry down, which I do not like. I have an issue with that one. And the same one is right here. And this is kind of, I think this is when the tuberose shows its most indolic self. It is the indoles of the tuberose that smell that way. The indoles that we have in jasmine, depending on if we're talking about jasmine sambac, the grandiflorum, there's a lot of different jasmines, right? But if we take the barnacle smelling indoles, of the jasmine. They're very different from the indoles of the tuberose. But some perfumes manage to deal with those indoles much better. Carnal flower comes to mind. Carnal flower never goes into that indolic smell of tuberose in that kind of kidney stone type of way. This one does, okay? And it does a lot. So fascinating to note, when I spray this on perfume blotches or papers or even tissues, the dry down is heavenly. None of that indolic smell. And on little perfume cards, this one smells for 2 weeks, even longer. And it just becomes more and more beautiful the longer it's on that paper strip. And the longer it's on the paper strip and the more it starts smelling of a tuberose garden, very natural smelling. The problem is, on my skin, none of that happens. The beautiful floral moment fades out, and then we get that kidney stone. And this is where the duality kicks in again. There are those days when that type of gray hue to tuberose is something that psychologically and ideologically I can deal with, and I need it as a mood in my life. But on a daily basis, absolutely no. This one is not a perfume that I can wear on a daily basis. This one needs a state of mind. It's not just mood. You also have to be in a psychological, intellectual state of mind. You need to want to torture yourself somehow to enjoy this one. And as a conceptual fragrance, it works wonders because it's very daring. Even for today's standards, this thing is very daring. I am much more appreciative of this bottle than its OG version bottle. I think this delivers more the concept of what it is. It is black glass, but it almost looks like a vial of blood. The essence of life. And life is bitter. And there's that bitter hue that pops out from tuberose criminelle after a certain point in time, after a certain point of development of this fragrance on the skin. And if you're into that, you're into that. But if you're not, you're not. Kira says, my all-time favorite. Oh, Poison is all your all-time favorite. Jesus says, yes, the Poison reference. Letty says, I adored yours, Poison. I've been wearing that one since I'm 13 years old. Jesus says, on me, it's not indolic at all. In the dry down, I get a lot of sweet and incensey resins. The Styrax overdose. It stays minty on me, camphorous, minty, and at a certain point, you get the kidney stone. The Frankenstein tuberose, says Jesus, is tuberose criminelle. The way Christopher Sheldrake dissected the molecular structure of the note and brought out all those dark camphor elements is pure master perfumery. It's art. Yes, I agree. Completely conceptual, very art, but it doesn't work as a everyday, all-day perfume. You have to understand it. You have to be ready to dissect it together with Sheldrake as he went on his journey to get to this perfume. You have to be ready to go on a journey of self-discovery and discovery of the fragrance as it's happening, as it's developing on your skin. Letty says, happy Crimson Wednesday. Hello, happy Crimson Wednesday to you too. Mrs. Blue says, has anyone ever smelled a tuberose in bloom? I did once. Knocks your socks off. Very heady. Yes, in the middle of the night, I have. And you should never come too close to them. You always have to let them come to you. That's a very specific thing about tuberose. Tuberose is like a Leo. You don't choose the tuberose. The tuberose chooses you. You can be sleeping in a house in summer where there's tuberose growing in the gardens. You can open your window and let the wind carry the scent of the tuberose into your room. That's the best way to smell tuberose. You come too close to it, it's killer. This is like you have moved into the, like Jesus said, molecular structure of the tuberose. You're not smelling it from afar. This one is you're moving inside of the flower and you're going to live there now. And you're going to die there too. Powerful, potent, not huge longevity on the skin, on my skin. A couple of hours and then it's gone. On clothing, it lasts for days. It is a projection beast in the opening notes. Later on, it stays very close to the skin, despite the fact that there's so much power and strength in this perfume. It stays very close to the skin, at least to my skin. Leslie says, Subaru's native of Mexico, cultivated by the Aztec, and they knew their magic too. So I'm telling you, this is one of the perfect fragrances for Halloween because it makes you confront yourself to your spiritual side, whether that be the negative or the positive. Enjoy Tubereuse Criminelle by Serge Lutens. I hope you've enjoyed this review. If you have, thumb up this video. Let me know what you think about Tubereuse Criminelle and Serge Lutens and Christopher Sheldrake as a perfumer in the comment sections down below. And until next time, never forget to never give up on Tubereuse Crimson Love. Love you all. Spook you later. Moving on. Yeah, Jack, Sheldrake is a very vampiric name. Yeah, Jesus says doesn't last long on skin. PJT is off topic. Your look today reminds me of Bram Stoker's Dracula's armor. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? But it is a torero outfit. Very Spanish, actually. But it is a Jeremy Scott for Adidas torero jacket, torero tracksuit jacket from many years ago. Gorgeous, isn't it? All right, now let me step up and hold on for a second. I'm going to be standing for a second now when we do the next video, and I'm going to click you into color. We're going to have crimson in the background. Welcome to the colorful side of things. Ooh, child, let me tell ya, it was hot in there. Hey, Robert, Jeremy Scott jacket. Yeah, Robert, you missed, I don't know when you tuned in, but you missed me wearing it. I took it off now. Freak by Elon Musk has Belladonna and Fame by, oh, child. I'm not talking about that starlet again. All right, let me take a little sippy. We're wearing blood red today. Rouge Noir by Chanel. Okay, I should fix the hair. No, this side. And we're gonna do a little vampire Dracula thumbnail. Maybe it should be red. Let me turn us back to red. And ding! Ding, ding, ding! Okay. Don't want to do it. I need to do a thumbnail of me turned like this with it, so. A little vampire moment. Oh, here in the back, you guys, for this one. I cannot do this pose while I'm sitting, obviously. So. Vampire thumbnail, let's do it. That was a moment. Okay, so you guys, now let me go back to color again. And this little wiglet. Leslie, Jeremy Scott made the jacket for Adidas. like back in 2013, 14. It's been a while. It's been a moment. All right. Now we're going to talk about. Oh, hold on. Before I start recording, I'm just going to explain it to you. So, Chucky, of course, we're going to be reviewing Chucky's next episode, which is episode 3. And boy, oh boy, what an episode. So, let me. And again, I told you at the beginning of this live stream, there will be a lot of duality. Crimson is the color of duality. It's so fascinating how this episode of Chucky also fits totally into that whole duality. Just yapping. How's it going, sweetie? Hi, Dacob. Plus chats on my lunch break, but had to be here for a bit. Love the red. Thank you so much, sweetie. Welcome, welcome. Let me start filming. Welcome everybody to Totally Dacob as we review Chucky series, season 1, episode 3. I wanted to say series 1. Chucky, the series, season 1, episode 1. It's all about duality in this episode. It's very, very scary. Very scary because, well, okay, let me start this again. Hold on, you guys. Something is wrong here. Let's do this again. Let's do this. Hold on. Let me start again. I don't want to have to trim this down later. Welcome, everybody, to Totally Dacob. Today, we're going to review Chucky, the TV series, season 1, episode 3. Even though it's episode 3, the whole concept is duality, duality, duality. There's the good and the evil, the intentions and the non-intentions. One person being exchanged for another person. This is one of the reasons why we're having crimson background. Crimson is kind of a color of duality as well. We are counting down to Halloween on my channel, so hence the attire and the merch. By the way, the Super Dacob merch, if you wish to get it, you still have time until the 31st of October, then it's gone for good. It is limited edition for 2021. Chucky, season 1, episode 3. Let me tell you, we start off right where we ended with episode 2. And that is in Jake's new bedroom, which looks like the Red Room in Twin Peaks. So we got that duality between Jake being conflicted by the dweller on his threshold, being himself. He's tormented by Chucky, making him believe more and more that he should become a killer. Chucky is now in the bedroom with Jake, talking to Jake and telling him, hey, you gotta kill Lexi. Lexi was so mean to you. She was a bully to you. She dressed up as your father while he was being electrocuted in the cellar for Halloween. In front of everybody at the party, she dressed up like your dying dad in front of you and mocked you. She deserves to die. Jake agrees that he hates her, but you see that Jake is still conflicted between, does he really? Sure, he took the knife at the end of episode 2 and was ready to kill, but of course now in episode 3 he's questioning things again. Amongst the things he questions, he asks Chucky something. Chucky, come here, baby. We got the duality, right? We got the good guy. In fact, you see Don Mancini here telling us that he's a good guy when in reality we know he's possessed by Charles Lee Ray, the serial murderer. So we are in the city of Hackensack. Of course, the duality of that name. Funny, but at the same time serious, because in the 60s, there was a terrible serial killer on the loose terrorizing Hackensack, making... Well, Hackensack is also Devin's podcast, so he kind of calls it Hack and Slash, I think he calls it too. But anyway, the killer back in the day was not Charles Lee Ray. Charles Lee Ray in the 60s was a kid. He was an infant, you know. However, Jake asks Chucky, hey, how did you become who you are? And here we have a little Easter egg that Don Mancini, the creator of Chucky, kind of throws in, because Chucky starts explaining and saying, hey, you know, I was, the whole voodoo shtick, I entered into another person's body, but I started the whole doll thing. That was my thing, possessing a doll's body. And Jake blocks him immediately, says, no, I don't want to know that. I want to know how you became a killer. And this is something fascinating because Don Mancini was, you know, allegedly has been quoted to have said that he was not really into the whole voodoo aspect of Chucky. He had a whole other idea of Chucky, how he is evil, how he is alive, and the whole story. But the film industry wanted it differently. The people who were, you know, budgeting and financing the project, the producers said, no, we want you to do this other storyline instead. So Don Mancini kind of dealt with it, but he kind of threw a little moment in there when, you know, Jake asks Chucky about, like, how did you become like this? And then Chucky kind of starts doing the voodoo talk, and Jake is like, I don't want to know that. So it's almost as if Don Mancini was talking through Jake in that moment, saying, forget about that. I want really more substantial stuff, which is so cool. And I'm glad that they're going there. And I'm also glad that Chucky is not obsessed with trying to leave his doll body and possess a human body. And I'm happy that the whole voodoo shtick is kind of being underplayed because it was getting lame. So Chucky says, oh, okay, you want to know how I became a killer. So at the beginning of the episode, here's another point of duality we're going to be seeing. He starts explaining how you have to choose how to kill, when to kill, who to kill. It has to be an intimate choice. You have to choose the right moment when you're alone with that person. The timing is of the essence, and it has to be almost a sort of a relationship, an intimate moment. And just like in the other episodes, we start with flashbacks, but then they're interrupted, and then we get the end of the flashback at the end of the episode. So Chucky doesn't get to finish his story about how he became who he was. Instead, we have a cut to another scene. And that other scene is, well, at this point, Jake is back in school. He is on a mission. Before we get to the mission, subscribe to my channel, thumb up this video if you haven't already. Comment down below if you're watching Chucky and what you think about it. I'm filming this live, so I have my co-chatters in the chats. Devon's mom. Devon is kind of the love interest of Jake. Jake is interested in Devon, but Devon's mom goes to... Devon's mom is also the police officer in charge of investigating all of the deaths that have been happening in the city. And she has a sneaky suspicion that Jake has something to do with it, because no matter where Jake goes, death seems to follow. So she goes to Jake's teacher in school and asks her about Jake and tells her that she's worried because she feels like something is wrong with Jake. Jake's teacher defends Jake and says, I don't feel comfortable talking about my students to you as a police officer, so we're not going to do that. But I will schedule a meeting between Lexi's parents and, well, Jake doesn't have parents anymore. His mom died in a car accident. The dad was electrocuted in the first episode. So she's going to schedule an appointment with Lexi's parents and Jake's uncle and his uncle's wife. Uncle, who is a twin to Jake's father. Another duality moment here. And the duality of having two families sit together. We have the family of the bully, who is Lexi, and the family of the person bullied, who is Jake. So Jake's teacher sees Jake outside and says to him, what do you think if we do this meeting to talk it out? I've seen what happened. I've seen what Lexi has done. But Jake seems distraught. He's like, I gotta go. His phone keeps popping off. Notifications or something. And we're thinking, what is happening? Why does he have to run off? So to kind of run off, he says, I gotta meet my friends. We know he doesn't really have friends. So what is Jake really up to? But anyway, to end the conversation with the teacher, he says, okay, yeah. It's a great idea. Let my uncle meet up with Lexi's family. Sure, let's do that. I gotta go. And the teacher thinks, oh, well, that was easy. That's great. Before he runs off and before he talks to the teacher, he does meet Devin in the hallway of the school, and Devin wants to help him. Or so we think. So Devin says, hey, do you want to talk? How's it going? Blah, blah, blah. Jake is like, I don't really have time. I gotta go. Jake wants to go. Devin wants to help him. He's like, how is it with Lexi? What Lexi did was terrible. And Jake says, yeah, no, but I'm fine with Lexi. I'm fine with Lexi. I'm totally fine. He keeps repeating that he's fine with Lexi when we know he's not. And Chucky wants Jake to kill Lexi. And I'm like, why is Devin pressing that point? Let him be. So anyway, Devin does let him go. We see Devin, as Jake is leaving, Devin is kind of putting his hand in a pocket, but we don't know what's going on with that pocket just yet. Jake is now off. He encounters the teacher. He tells her, yeah, the meeting is fine. And he's running towards a park or a wooded area of the city where Lexi is jogging alone. Jake has a knife. You see where we're going here? Lexi puts her hoodie on as she's jogging. Music is playing. Lexi is the DJ of this TV show. All of the music that we have as soundtrack is always her creating the playlists. She always keeps repeating in every episode, did you like my playlist? Did you like my playlist? So we're hearing Lexi's playlist as she's jogging. She puts a hoodie on so we don't see her face anymore. She's running. Somehow, I don't know how, Jake is tracking her phone. How is he tracking her phone? I don't know, but he sees where she is. So he runs to the spot where she's going to be. And he, with his knife, jumps out. And this is where things get really dark. Like this episode, I mean, it was already dark enough from the get-go, but it's getting really dark in this episode. He jumps out and is about to stab her. At that point, the hooded person turns around. Turns out it's Jake's cousin. It's Junior Wheeler. Junior turns around and says, you freak, why are you following me? You creep, stop following me. Jake hides his knife behind his back as if Junior didn't see the knife, but apparently Junior didn't see the knife. So he yells at him and runs off. Jake is shocked because he was tracking the phone, but it wasn't Lexi. But we do see Lexi jogging as well. So in the next kind of moment, we see Lexi is on her lawn in front of her home with the same hoodie that Junior has. Junior runs up to her. Junior is wearing her same hoodie. She finished jogging right before Junior. Junior arrived after her. They're wearing the same attire. Super bizarre, but they are. And he hands her her phone and says, here, I found this. Thank you. She says, did you like my playlist? So, and she thanks him for having her phone, for having given her back her phone. So now we know why Jake made the mistake. Jake didn't make a mistake. He was tracking the right phone. It's just that Junior had Lexi's phone. Junior tells Lexi, hey, Lexi, I think what you're doing to Jake is terrible and you got to apologize. And she's still being a bitch about it, doesn't want to apologize, and calls it a day. Goes back to her house where her mom and dad are super upset because Lexi's little sister, who we know is totally in love with Chucky, she's like having a super tangent fit on the floor saying, I want Chucky. They're trying to give her, it seems like she's autistic or something on the spectrum. The kid is not fully there. But she's crying because, well, none of the toys they're giving her works. She wants Chucky. She misses Chucky. So the parents say to Lexi, hey, Lexi, could you get her Chucky? This is a problem because Lexi knows She has to talk to Jake if she wants Chucky. In the meanwhile, Jake is back at his uncle's house in the garage, and I do not know why, for the love of me, Jake's uncle has a garage full of weapons. I mean, they look like machetes, scythes, things to cut grass, to chop wood. I mean, these are utensils you use in gardening, but they're also like super new and clean and super scary. Like, we're talking hardcore metal blades everywhere, and he's kind of like trying to figure out how to stab her, which weapon to use. I mean, it's insane. Like, it's going really dark, you guys, at this point. Even though cinematography is still amazing, impeccable, we still have that gorgeous golden light in this city, because it's, you know, it's that October autumn light. It's just amazing. We're all deliciously enjoying it. So there's no shadows anywhere. There's no darkness, really. Everything is fully lit, just like Stanley Kubrick did in The Shining. He didn't want us to see any shadows. He wanted a horror movie to play out in plain day. And that's what's happening in Chucky. So it's plain day. He's in the garage. The garage isn't a spooky, dirty, dark garage. No, the door... Oh, this is also super stupid of Jake. But anyway, he left the whole door, everything open. The garage is completely open. Light is coming through. There's no darkness. The walls are clean. All of these weapons are clean. And of course, he's kind of like moving, stabbing in the air. And that moment, Lexi comes from behind him and came to apologize, but kind of doesn't feel the apology. And then Jake says, "You're not really feeling the apology." And then she says, "No, I'm really apologizing, but now you got to do something for me in return." He's like, "Oh, that's your apology?" He's like, "Okay, what do you want me to do in return?" And she says, "I want Chucky." And he's like, "No way. You can't have Chucky," because he knows that this little fella is a killer. Which makes me believe if he doesn't want to give her Chucky, that means he's not a killer, because he knows Chucky would kill her. So why would he want to give her Chucky? So this is proof to me that Jake, he can't do it. He's not a killer in his heart. So she leaves. He says no. She leaves super angry. We have a scene with Devin, Jake's love interest or flirt, at home. His mom, who's the police officer in charge of all of these investigations, she hears, which is kind of bizarre because we think that she hears the audio that Devin is listening to in his bedroom, when in fact Devin has earphones on or headphones on. So I'm not so sure if she heard what Devin was listening to, or if she was just curious to go into his room because he was too silent. Either way, what we hear is what's important. What we hear is the conversation that Devin had with Jake in high school, in the hallway. Remember when he was asking him about Lexi, and Jake said, "No, we're fine. Listen, yeah, Lexi did dress up like my dying father, but we're fine." So he's listening to that conversation that they had in the hallway, which means he recorded him secretly. Devin is up to something. Is that something good or not? I'm not quite sure yet. I don't know, because it's super sketchy. So anyway, his mom comes in and says, "Hey, Jake is involved in some sketchy stuff. Death seems to follow him. I don't want you to see Jake anymore." Devin says, "No, Mom. First of all, knock when you come into my room. You didn't even knock. What about privacy?" She's like, "My roof, my rules." She's such a police mom. Terrible. Devin kind of says, "Yeah, fine," but it's as if he told her, like, "Yeah, whatever, girl, bye." And he goes back to listening to his stuff as she's leaving. But he did tell her before she left, he's like, "I have proof." He's like, "I'm working on it. I'm collecting evidence and proof that Jake is not a killer." So then I started thinking maybe he recorded Jake because he's collecting evidence to protect Jake in case the police were to come after Jake. In the meanwhile, Jake is back at home, and Chucky is kind of disappointed with him. What did I write here? So, so, Chucky is upset with Jake because Jake did not want to kill Lexi when he had the opportunity. And where did I write? I have the exact quote. I wrote it down here. He said, "Oh, right. You weren't able to kill Lexi even in the garage." Well, so Chucky calls it completion anxiety. Well, he's kind of making fun of it, almost turning it into a sexual thing. But anyway, so he said, "Oh, that's just completion anxiety. We can deal with that. Fine. Here I am again, me stepping in for you. I'm gonna solve the situation without you. She wants Chucky. Let's give her Chucky." So Jake is like, "Oh gosh, no, really?" Okay, so Jake hands the knife to Chucky. Chucky takes the knife, and Jake brings Chucky to Lexi's house. Now it gets even darker because as Chucky is delivered to Lexi's house, Lexi's little sister comes out and sees Chucky and is super happy and says, "Oh my God, Chucky." And she takes Chucky, and Jake says, "Have fun." He leaves. Chucky is now in Lexi's home. Chucky is always with Lexi's little sister. Lexi's little sister's parents are observing how her little sister is behaving. She always has Chucky sitting next to her. She lifts Chucky up. Chucky says, "I like to be hugged." And then she hugs Chucky. She puts him next to the ear. Chucky whispers to her and says, "Hey." And then she says, "Hey, Chucky wants to hug you too, Lexi." So Lexi is super creeped out, but she kind of takes Chucky and hugs him. We see Chucky's eyeballs behind Lexi. It's super creepy. She's hugging Chucky. Then Lexi's little sister comes down and hugs them as well. It's like so creepy because he could go berserk at any second. So they're hugging. Creepy, creepy, creepy. You can imagine. The parents are leaving because they're going to the parent meeting or something, some other event they have at night. Lexi's going to be alone at home. There's going to be another party. It's the post-Halloween party, but she has to take care of her little sister. So the little sister has to go to bed. However, all of Lexi's friends are arriving. The little sister sleeps with Chucky. Creepy little moment. The sister, Junior, arrived. Junior is together with Lexi putting the little sister to bed. The little sister says, "You got to sing to me for me to fall asleep." So she sings to her. "Don't be scared of the Reaper." Weird song to sing, but it was really a cool moment. Scary. Chucky is tucked in, not moving, next to the little sister. They tuck him in real good. When they leave, the sister is sleeping. Chucky is still awake, and he's like, "Damn, I'm really tucked in." So he takes the knife, cuts the sheets so he can get out from underneath the sheets, because he is little after all. That was a cute moment. And then he wakes up the little sister and says, "Hey, I'm going to go and kill your sister, Lexi. Want to come?" And the little girl says, "No, I'm sleepy. I want to sleep." And then we have this comedic moment of him saying, "Well, you snooze, you lose." So he goes to kill Lexi. Lexi is having a party in her house with all her friends from school, but because they're not supposed to be too loud, she gave everybody headphones. So they're all listening to her playlist on headphones, same song playing at the same time for everybody. So it's as if they were listening to it loud. We hear the song, right? But they're all kind of dancing in silence. It's super creepy to look at them dancing with headphones inside of this living room. But anyway, she kind of is flirting with that other kid, Oliver. Oliver wants to be with Lexi, but Lexi's together with Junior. Junior keeps an eye out for them because he sees that Oliver's flirting with Lexi. Lexi's flirting with Oliver, but Lexi always, when something important happens, she always goes back to Junior because she wants to be with Junior, obviously more than with Oliver. But anyway, we see that Oliver wants Lexi. Anyway, Chucky is now thinking how to, in all of this environment when all these kids are in this house, how is he going to kill Lexi? So he waits for the right moment when she's alone. And it is her home. So she does move through the house. At one point, her little sister wakes up because Chucky left the bedroom. So the little sister wakes up and says, "Where's Chucky?" And she says, why aren't you asleep? Go back to bed. And she's like, "Where's Chucky?" So Lexi's now looking for Chucky. She goes from room to room. Chucky is going from room to room. He thinks he's following her. But what we don't know is that Oliver is looking for Lexi. So And here again, duality happens. A switch, a little moment, you know, in comedic timing when you think one person is one person, but there's somebody else instead. At this point, Chucky is in full killer mode. So because he's in killer mode, let's swap this. Here's the biggest duality. Let's swap this little honey face of a good guy to the killer Chucky. Now, of course, he's not scorched. This is Seed of Chucky. He doesn't look like this yet in the series. He's still totally intact. But we got the evil Chucky here. He's more ready for the killing. It's like fluff up your hair a little. All right, Chucky. So we got the killer Chucky on the loose. He is ready to kill. And he stabs somebody who he thinks is Lexi coming out of a room. And instead, it's not Lexi, it's Oliver. So he's on the top floor, on the staircase top floor. So we see from the top floor what's going downstairs in the living room, and all the kids are dancing downstairs. But because they have headphones on and they're all dancing, looking at each other, nobody looks up. But our camera is looking upwards. So we see the kids dancing, and then upwards you see Chucky stabbing this other kid. And this kid is shocked. Now he knows that Chucky is actually a killer doll. It's kind of bizarre. He could have escaped, but he didn't. He just kind of laid there and let Chucky kill him. It was a bit awkward. Could have been done better. But anyway, Chucky stabs him. Oliver is dead. So we got our first high school victim. You know, and the party is still happening. Lexi wants to smoke a little joint. She isolates herself and goes into her room all alone. And that's when Chucky attacks. She throws her cigarette to the floor. The bedroom lights fire. She sees Chucky. She's high, so she's not so sure what is real, what is not real at this point, because she did smoke her joint in part. Not that amount of joint really gets you already that high that you have hallucinations, but hey, to each their own, right? So she definitely sees him attack her. The room starts burning up. The fire starts spreading to the whole building. The kids are still dancing downstairs because they have headphones on. They don't hear anything going up upstairs. The fire starts exploding. We don't see what happens to Lexi. I think she still survived, but we are led to believe that she died. Chucky attacked her, jumped on her, started pulling her necklace off of her to strangulate her. He lost his knife in the process. He wanted to grab his knife again. In the meanwhile, the huge explosion happened in the bedroom. Fire spreading throughout the whole house. We do not know what's going to happen to the kids because we have a cut back to duality. We're back in the 60s. And finally, Chucky is going to give the final answer to Jake about how he became a serial killer. But before that happens, let me just go to my computer here. While this party is taking place, Jake knows that Chucky is at Lexi's house. He knows that he did something bad by giving Lexi Chucky. He knows that that night, somebody's going to die. And he feels guilty. So what Jake does, hold on. Jake actually went to the cemetery. And he, if I can find it now, he was at the cemetery feeling guilty about what he did. And at the cemetery, we see the tombstone of his mother and his father who passed away just a couple of days prior. And on the tombstone, we have dates inscribed. What is fascinating is the date of birth of the mom is in July of 1978. I don't know if that was a reference somehow to John Carpenter's Halloween, because John Carpenter's Halloween was released in 1978. So I thought maybe that was an interesting kind of coincidence. Maybe because, you know, this show is kind of full of little homages and moments of Easter eggs, I want to say. So I'm just looking at the tombstone here. Mary Wheeler, born July 15th, 1978. That's Jake's mom. Died April 15th, 2015. So that date, beloved wife and mother, that date could be perhaps important. Maybe it is connected to another one of the Chucky movies. Maybe Mary Wheeler died in a car accident and it was Chucky's fault. I wouldn't, it could be. That could be the reason. Okay. Then his father, who is a little bit older than Mary, his father was born a couple of years later. He was born September 1st, 1976. I don't think that date has any importance for us. However, because his brother twin is now Jake's new parent, we know that maybe that date is somehow important. Anyway, Jake is crying at the tombstones of both his parents. He feels super guilty for what he did. And then the camera pans out or zooms out, moves out, and we see that just a couple of plots further down is Charles Lee Ray's tombstone. And Charles Lee Ray's tombstone, interestingly enough, does not state when he was born. There is no birth date on it. It just says Charles Lee Ray died November 9th, 1988. 1988 is when Child's Play began, the first Chucky movie, when he passed his soul from his body to Chucky. So this whole tombstone moment is happening, and then we're finally back to our initial question, Jake asking Chucky, why did you become like this? Chucky says, and I quote, again, the duality of it all, we're back to the slashers of the 60s. The city is terrorized by some murderer, serial killer on the loose, killing everybody. And you best believe that night it was Charles Lee Ray's family's turn. The serial killer broke into their house and stabbed his father dead. Charles ran down the staircase and saw the killer stabbing the father. He didn't do much. He just kind of observed. He was very curious. At that point, the mother appears from behind him, rushes down the staircases, grabs Charles, sees what's going on, grabs Charles and runs up to the bedroom to hide. And here's another reference to Halloween, very 1978 Halloween moment when Laurie Strode hides in the closet, that kind of pull closet. And then Mikey arrives, opens the closet with his knife and goes in there. So that's exactly the same, slightly different, obviously, because now we don't have just one woman in there, but also Charles is with her. Her kid is with her. And of course, Charles is also kind of the young Michael Myers in a way, except he talks. But anyway, so he's hiding with his mother in the closet. The mother is holding him tight and Charles says, I can't breathe, let me go. And she lets him go. The killer is up in the bedroom by now. He knows that they're in the closet. As he opens the door to the closet, he finds Charles inside the closet, the mother beside him, dead. Charles lifts up a little tiny knife and says, here, I helped you out. And the serial killer is impressed and he says, I'm impressed. He takes the knife, cleans it off of his sleeve and says, always be careful to always cover your tracks. And the killer leaves him, doesn't kill Charles because the killer recognizes Charles as one of his own. And that's how we know. And this is at this point, Chucky, we hear Chucky's voice of today talking to Jake, and he says to him, some killers are made, but the best of us are born. Sometimes we just need a little push. And that's the end of the episode. There's all of that death, that darkness, and the duality that we were thinking constantly of having here. Chucky / Charles says, well, no, it's not like evil has to be created. You could just be born evil. You can just want it. You can just be it. And it is not true that everything that is evil became evil because something bad happened to them. So it's a very eye-opening moment. It is very brutal. It is very, very visceral, very raw. It leaves you kind of out of breath because it's as if there's no hope. It literally tells you there's no hope. Some people, there's just no hope. Unless your hope is towards evil, you know, like hoping for them to be even more evil. But hoping for certain people to turn good, there's no hope. And that's how episode 3 ends. Very, very dark, very grim, super scary. It is nighttime by now. Jake is in the cemetery at night. The party happened at night. The explosion in Lexi's house and the fire and the stabbing happened at night. So I guess in episode 4, we're going to see the repercussions of all of that. I can only imagine the problems for Jake because Jake won't have an alibi. Jake was at the cemetery while the house was exploding. So Jake was not at home. Jake's uncle can't say that Jake was at home because he wasn't. Jake was alone at the cemetery while the house was exploding. So I'm sure there's going to be problems there. I'm sure the police are going to be questioning him. He won't have an alibi. I think Lexi survived. But let's see. Well, Oliver sure didn't. It's a big mess. So there you have it. Chucky, you are creating such stress. I'm loving the show, though. I cannot wait for the next episode. Let me know what you thought about episode 3 of season 1 of Chucky the series. Let me get to a couple of your comments. Everybody's enjoying. Oh, Ollie has been to a similar party like that. Everybody wants to trick or treat now because we are in Halloween season. All right, candy for everybody. Nature versus nature. That's a good one. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Jack says the same kind of duality is seen in the High Priestess tarot card. Yeah, hey Debs, the show recap. Something is rotten, says Jack. Yeah, definitely, definitely. I'm loving the midweek live streams. Oh, great. I'm good. I'm enjoying them too very much. I mean, this was, you know, Halloween is this Sunday, you guys, so it's just a couple of days away. And I wonder, it would be really cool if they aired another episode of Chucky on Halloween. Oh, another thing that they did, which is super cool. Every episode, they have a different opening. So in the first episode, we had all the doll heads turning to form the text Chucky. In episode 2, we had pumpkins and jack-o'-lanterns because it was the Halloween episode, and the pumpkins form the name Chucky. In this episode, we had all of the weapons, garden weapons, tools, scissors, hammers, daggers, swords, and fire, forming the word Chucky. So at the beginning of the episode, we already got basically a hint at everything that was going to happen in the episode. So I'm starting to think that the hints that Don Mancini throws at us for the title sequence, for the name of the show, for the Chucky name, depending on which parts form the name of Chucky at the beginning of every episode, is kind of a hint at what will be the main disturbing factor in that episode. So I'm really looking forward to, because now I'm starting to think like, how is he going to form the Chucky name next week? It's super cool. I mean, the show is full of Easter eggs. It's full of wonderful cinematography, great casting, great acting, great writing. It's just amazing. And Chucky looks great. The little bit of CGI they use also looks fine. Otherwise, he's being puppeteered most of the time. He just looks really good. And I would love to have a doll version of the series Chucky. And I wonder if they're going to make one. I mean, I'm sure they are, because this show is amazing. It would be great to get a little extra Chucky. What do you say? Yeah, he's like, yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for walking. Chucky on TikTok, that would be hilarious, says Debbie. Oh my God, that is funny. That would be super funny. A TikTok profile for Chucky and for Tiffany and for Gwen. For Glenn or Glenda. Just says, no, Chucky is not a brainless TikTok star. Don't turn Chucky into TikTok, people. Not so fun. Chucky, you're better than TikTok, aren't you? Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, never forget to never give up on Chucky love. Bye. So, you dude, did I put like my lipstick on you? Hold on. No, he's all good. Oh, Jack, really? First episode had 4 million viewers? God, I wrote so much text here. All right. Now, so for whoever is watching now, I'm telling you, we got 4 days left to get your merch. So get your merch on, Super Dacob Halloween merch if you want it. Now is the last chance because you know it's going to go offline after the live stream next Saturday. I would also like to remind you that the actual Halloween party live stream is this coming Sunday on my main channel. I have not scheduled it yet for those of you who have been asking me because I schedule one live stream at a time to not create confusion. So today, this live stream was scheduled. There's going to be another live stream next Saturday on the main channel, which is not Halloween related. And then Sunday on the main channel is the Halloween live stream. So be sure to tune in. And it would be great if you had costumes because it's going to be a call-in. So everybody can call in and just have fun and enjoy the costumes or the makeup. I have a couple of surprises up my sleeve for y'alls. Jesus got the merch today as well and sent me a photo. Thank you so much. Looking good, Mr. E. You know, Nicole Papinchak, how's it going, sweetie? Hey, Lynn's review. I read it was your birthday. Happy birthday, sweetie, right? Happy belated birthday, or is it today? Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Oh, yeah. You're back to work. Have fun, everybody. All right, just yapping. Happy work day for you. Wait, it's Rich Mitch's birthday as well? Happy birthday, Rich Mitch. Did I miss it? Gosh, I'm missing everything in the chats because I'm blabbering so much. But we also got to move on with the show, and there's a lot more show for you. At this point, hold on. Oh, this is going to be a little bit difficult. This is going to be a little bit difficult. We should add a little bit of lipstick while we're at it because it's drying out. DCat, Gary, how come you changed your name to DCat? So we're doing this as the blood red. It's rouge noir, black red. You know, the infamous Gothic Chanel black red. So Gary, how come you changed the name? Cheesecake sounds good right now. Oh, cheesecake. Are we doing cheesecake? For Halloween? You know, Chanel lipstick, it's not the best. We buy it because it's fabulous packaging, right? But it's very dry, I gotta say. It's very drying. I would prefer a little slightly different formula. A Mullet Man is back. Yes, Debbie, Mullet Man is back. Except now, he has much longer mullet. Lynn's review says, thank you all for the birthday wishes. Makes me so happy. I just posted a photo of the cheesecake on my Instagram story. It's all about the cheesecake, you guys. All right. So as I said, Crimson and Duality, Dracula, Love, you know, unanswered. Here we have a mask, a Dracula mask. This one is amazing, but if I put this one on, I can't do other makeup because this covers your whole head. And you can't talk because the mouth is closed, but this is a good one. This is a really, really classic, old school Dracula mask. Anywho, moving into that duality spectrum, there is another special thing I want to share with you guys. Let me just read some of the chats. I'm also very excited to try out her foundation. Which foundation? Oh, Dacob is your favorite windmill in the Netherlands. That is a very interesting choice for a name. Check out Velvet Jazz lipstick by Lisa Eldridge. It's such a gorgeous deep red blood color lipstick, so gothic. Velvet Jazz lipstick by Lisa Eldridge. All right, I'm gonna give it a check out. I'm also very excited to try out her foundation. I just eat a whole pizza. Day off vibe, says I'm Louis. Nice, good for you. The Rouge Noir is gorgeous on you. Thank you so much, Antonella. I just wish it were a little bit more wet. It's a little bit dry. But anyway, so hold on. Let me grab something before we start filming the next segment. This is going to be difficult. Okay, you guys. And how do I... All right, we're going to have an unboxing. Hold on, let me... put it this way so I don't... Okay. Let me start recording. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Totally Dacob. We are counting down to Halloween as we're filming this segment live. I have my co-chatters in the chats. It is a Wednesday. Halloween is falling this year on a Sunday. But we're talking about crimson duality, hence the background in crimson. And nothing better for duality than unboxing something as big as this. We will be unboxing basket case. Very fragile, handled with extreme care. And you best believe you should. Hold on, let me do a screenshot. And I'm going to do another one when I open this. It's a box in a box in a box process. So who doesn't know basket case and horror movies, you gotta step it up. You gotta go look it up, as Matt would say. Basket Case is one of the best horror movies out there. First one, there's Basket Case 1, 2, and 3. There's a whole trilogy. They're all amazing. Even though the first one, you can't beat the first one. Very low budget. Shot in New York in the 80s, and you get to see the real New York of the 80s. It's just so beautiful. Rich Mitch says, large boxes make me sad. Debbie says, building unboxing muscles with Dacob. Why does it make you sad, Rich Mitch? There's a box in a box. Large boxes make Rich Mitch sad. Oh, well, I mean, if the large box is this, it doesn't make me sad. So let me open it up. It's a very interesting concept because it is a box in a box, you guys. You see what I mean? The magic of it all. So I'm just going to pull this out. I'm going to take all of these little giblets off. So this has traveled far and wide, and I am super excited to be able to share it with you. Oh. Hold on, you guys. It doesn't want to go. Ah, there it is. Rich Mitch says, I lost a large box recently. Rest in peace. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Rich Mitch. All right, here it is. Um, okay, so this is Green Day's basket case. No, Kira. Large packages make me happy, says Robert. We love a large box, says Jesus, and of course he posts a peach to go with it. So this is I think it's an Austrian company that created this thing. The collector's edition basket case trilogy. I'm going to zoom this in later because you get to see the whole thing here. I want you to see it as we unbox it together rather than just showing you a photo of it. But it is a beautiful little collector's piece. It comes with a t-shirt, which as a collectible t-shirt, I'm not even going to open it, but it is a basket case t-shirt. You do see basket case printed in the back. It is an extra large, so I could wear it. Okay, it does fit me, but it's just such a cool little collector's thing. I can get other basket case t-shirts, but this one is only available with the set, so I'm not gonna. I'm a collector. I'm a sucker for that, so you can't, Anyway, so here we have the box. In the box, so it's a third box, right? We got already 2 boxes. Now we have another one. So you got to do it upside down. Slowly getting it out. And here we have it. The collector's box of basket case. The uncut version of the movie. It says it's limited to 350 pieces. However, they did not number them in the back. So, and a lot of people have been complaining about this. They didn't number them in the back, so it's a little bit like sketchy. Like, how many did you really make of these? But I mean, it's such a novelty piece. It's such a novelty piece that it's hard for me to believe that they made thousands of them. You know what I mean? Okay, so what we get inside. Barbara says, oh my God, you've got another Chanel and you live stream here. Oh, you got another channel. Barbara says, oh my God, you've got another channel and you live stream here too. So now it's not just my Saturday evening that you're going to take, but my Wednesdays too. Yeah, well, Wednesdays are now special because we're, doing the countdown to Halloween on Totally Dacob. But yes, I do have another channel, a pop culture channel, Totally Dacob. Subscribe. Also subscribe to my main channel. And if you like fragrances, to my Essentially Dacob YouTube channel as well. So here we have like this packaging, right? Nifty little packaging. It almost feels like you're going to unbox, I don't know, the NES console, like Nintendo from the 80s. It has that whole vibe about it, loving it. So it comes with a poster. The tenant in room 7 is very small, it says, very twisted and very mad. So you have basket case poking out. It's a black and white version of the actual poster of the movie, which of course, being a collectible, they should not be folding posters, but they always fold them. So we're going to leave that folded. Here we get the trilogy. Now, this is so fascinating. This box is said to be limited to 350 pieces. The main part of this box is yet to come. But the trilogy discs that you get on Blu-ray and DVD, they give you each movie on Blu-ray and on DVD inside. This thing was purchasable outside of this box, meaning it's a different limitation. In fact, it goes over 350. The Blu-ray is number 372. So you see how confusing it gets? So let me zoom this in, you guys. You see here, it's number 372, the limitation. Even though basket case, the box is limited to 350 numbers. So what I think happened here is they do have this purchasable separately, which has higher limitation numbers, but the box itself is lower limitation. But still, it's kind of irritating because it's very confusing for... I don't really care about the number in this case, but some people do. What I care about is what's inside here, and we're going to get to it. I got to be very delicate how I proceed now. All right, so we took all of this gorgeous whiteness out. Okay, let me pull this out for you. This is tricky. It doesn't want to... Okay, so now the box is empty. But we got our little monster in here. So we got Belial. Belial is the main character. He is Basket Case in the movie Basket Case. And this is... he is a little bit scary to look at. Very cheaply produced, might I add. Made in resins. So in the back, they didn't even have really the time to create like an inlay. Like he's completely hollow in there. But so it does come with this ribbon. So you're supposed to put the t-shirt in here. You're supposed to put the Blu-ray disc in there as well. But you wouldn't do it because it didn't create a flat surface in here. It's just kind of the molded, you see how it is? It looks like a cave in there. All the resins, as they were making them, were kind of like just dripping and going. So it's a very hard, rough surface. You don't want to put your Blu-ray cover in here. So what they did add was this ribbon. And the idea is, of course, to, you know, whatever you put in here, you kind of pull the ribbon out to pull out whatever's inside. So it's a nice little touch, but unnecessary. Now, I don't care to have Basket Case as a container for the Blu-ray. I care for him as a sculptural piece. It's very rare to get Basket Case. His name is Belial, by the way. It's very rare to get Basket Case as a little sculpture like this. So he is... The mold ends here. Obviously, his body would be a little bit longer. But why are we... Let me show you a close-up of him. I don't think I need to zoom this in because it already covers the whole screen. But that's Belial. This is the top. This is the side. The wicker basket is not wicker. It is all molded into this piece of resin, which has been... It's quite heavy, by the way. It weighs really a ton. And... and then at the bottom you have all this polyfoam is attached to it, but you see how cheaply they cut? They didn't even cut it straight, but it has this velvety bottom that they just glued to the bottom of the the fake wicker basket, and it didn't really cut it straight, so it has this kind of irregular cut. This was... I think they're really, you can imagine how rare this is and how, I mean, who would want to get this, right? Except for diehard fans like me of Basket Case. But this is something that I understand probably went through complications to get this produced, because no major, who produced this actually? No big company did this, you guys. It was some... Digital Dreams or DigiDreams or DigiDream Studios. So It seems to be almost like an indie, you know, like not released by a major studio, but just this whole concept was like more like a labor of love. So you could imagine how they were trying to cut corners cost wise wherever they could. And in fact, the release date for this box set was postponed, I think, almost a year because they were having issues getting all the funds in to actually go into production. So when you analyze something like this, you shouldn't be judging it with a very critical eye like you would judge, you know, huge Hollywood studios and their production of their kind of special pieces. This is more like a fan would do, you know, like find me on Etsy type of thing. It is official though, but it is very, very, very rudimental. Honestly though, I love the fact that it is rudimental because it fits the whole mood of Basket Case, the movie, because the first movie shot in 1982, well, released in 1982, but it took them a long, I think 1982, right? Yeah, it took them a long time to shoot it. They shot for several years, and it was very, very, when we're talking low budget, we're talking really low budget. So there's a lot of mistakes in the movie, but it's just made with so much love that you love it. And it's shot in New York, in actual places in New York. So you get to see early 80s New York night scene. Amazing. The movie is just amazing. Then, of course, they got more budget for part 2 and part 3, but the fact that this whole, what you might call it, that this whole Basket Case is so cheap looking, it kind of really fits the tone of the movie and the low budget production that it was. We're talking about duality. Belial is a twin. Hold on, I got this box here in front of me. Belial is a Siamese twin that was like a growing out of the side of his twin. And so the movie is all about the separation of these two twins. But Belial is now living in a basket. Of course, the basket originally has a cover. They didn't do the cover for the basket for this little sculptural piece, but technically, Belial's brother, twin brother, always carries Belial in a basket, and the basket is always closed. So Belial doesn't have any legs, right? Belial is just this spine and little kind of like a blob with hands that lives in a basket. But he's very emotional. Okay, he loves his brother. They're attached. Belial can read his brother's mind. And Belial is very territorial. So he doesn't really like when Belial's twin gets a love affair. He kills or wants to kill any love interest. He wants him for himself. Okay, he's very territorial and he's very, very grumpy. So don't mess with Belial. But he wants love too. As monstrous as he is, there's this duality. The duality of the two twins. One looks perfect, healthy. The other twin is supposed to be, well, they cut him off at a certain age and they wanted him to die, but he survived. So he was not born evil, he turned evil, but is he really evil? We go through a whole journey of Belial through the first movie, the second movie, and the third movie. And there is a transformation, spoiler alert. Belial is not evil. He can do evil things when provoked, but in reality, he represents the side of all of us, which is mostly rejected, hated, bullied, frowned upon, mistreated, kicked to the curb. Like, he represents all of that. That's why I love Belial. He is definitely my soulmate. Belial is, I understand him. I feel with him. His pain, the troubles that he goes through, and also the love. Because, another spoiler alert, Belial does find love. How it all ends up, I'm not going to spoil that. You should watch part 2 and part 3 to figure that out. But the duality is very palpable when it comes to Basket Case. Because that's what the name of the movie seems like. Oh, we use the terminology basket case when we talk negative about somebody. We say somebody's crazy, somebody's cuckoo, somebody's out of their mind. Oh, they're a basket case. What a loony bin. Well, that's kind of the word game we're having here. We're playing with the concept of somebody being totally cuckoo. But who's the basket case? Is it the twin who's walking and talking and healthy, always carrying around his twin with him? Is that the basket case? Or is Belial the basket case? Or is humanity the basket case? All those evil people that are so quick to judge, that make you feel crazy just because you're loving a creature like this, just because you're trying to have empathy and emotions for a creature like this, for a human like this, because I mean, technically he is a Siamese twin that just didn't grow fully and didn't detach fully from his twin brother when they were in the womb. So technically, yeah, he's human too. Who's the basket case? That's the question that this film kind of asks. And for the most part, turns out that society is the basket case. So the movie does point its finger at all of us. And it's a very fascinating horror movie because it is analyzing society very well. Very well. And because it was shot on location, you don't have a feeling of it being too artificial, shot in studios. It's shot there. Literally in New York, in the gutter, whatever they could shoot, wherever they could get a permit or even not a permit, they would shoot. So it's almost like watching a weird type of documentary of the 80s, but through a lens of horror. So it does show society in New York in the 80s, how aggressive it was. Also the party scene, the club scene. It's really, really cool. Basket Case definitely deserves a watch. This set is really, if you love it, if you're really into it like I am, then this is for you. I mean, huge fan of Basket Case. Humanity's a dumpster fire, says Kira. Looks like Danny DeVito a bit too, says Audrey. Oh my gosh. Well, Danny should be proud because you're amazing, Belial. I mean, you can see him also up close. It's not like they did this crazy paint job. He does have a little bit of that black wash to give him a bit of definition. And he doesn't have all of these fingers in the movie. He has less fingers. They're not so perfectly... They didn't like mold him properly. In the movie, his fingers are not so well defined. They're like kind of attached in some parts. And he doesn't have 5 of them. I think he has 4. But yeah, Pixel Hexa says, kind of looks like Gary Busey. Oh my God, you guys, you're terrible. Mrs. Blue says, he's giving me Slimer vibes. I can agree with that. He does have a little bit of a Slimer moment there, except he has a spine. Slimer doesn't, obviously. Slimer is ectoplasm, right? Adorably creepy, says Lynn's review. He is adorably creepy. Audrey says, that's so freaky. Looks like Benjamin Franklin, says Debbie. Oh my God, you guys are crazy. How do I not know this movie, says Debbie. Debbie, you should check out Basket Case. It is one of the most iconic horror, you want to call it B-genre movies, but honestly though, the quality of it, the feel of it is just so divine. Sure, B-movie, you can call it a B-movie because it was such a low budget, but in terms of historical relevance for both horror genres and societal depiction through film, this thing is not a B movie anymore. It elevates it to a whole other level. Jesus says, oh my God, it comes with the actual parasitic twin monster toy. The parasitic twin monster toy, except it's not a toy, it's just a sculpture. But there have been some people that love, that do horror sculpting and toys and for movies, that have made little toy versions of Belial that are also super cute. Some of them actually even official. Fruit fly. Did I catch it? Oh, you best believe I did. Bye, bitch. I was low-key feeling the hotel receptionist. Oh, was it because of the... Really? What do you mean? This like a hotel receptionist? KDF says, loving this. Just put you up on the big screen, Dacob. Oh, Katie, thank you so much. I enjoy the live stream. So this was Basket Case, the unboxing. So basically, this set contains the Basket Case container for the Blu-rays and the t-shirt. You get a poster with the famous poster inscription that says, the tenant in room 7 is very small, very twisted, and very mad. And he is very small. He's a tenant. Why? Because he does live in, well, they go to a hotel, but I'm not going to spoil the whole story for you, but they do end up in New York in a hotel room, and Belial does escape that hotel room. He does leave his basket to do stuff, because he is on a mission. He has a plan. He has a vengeance. He wants revenge against who did him wrong, against who separated him from his brother, from his twin brother. So there's a whole storyline that is quite solid, really. And then it comes with the Basket Case trilogy on Blu-ray and DVD and a lot of special features. That's it, right? 1, 2, 3, t-shirt, poster. T-shirt comes in extra large, like there's no choosing the size, which is fine for me because extra large is where it's at. So you get the poster printed on the t-shirt. I'm not opening the t-shirt, it's a collectible. And yeah, you get the box, which they say is limited, but it's not. Limited to 350 pieces, but they didn't number it properly. They didn't number it at all. I will have to check this one out, says Debbie. Debbie, it's a great movie. You should check it out. Somebody said it's available on YouTube. I don't know if it's available on YouTube, but so this, and let me show you now how this looks. So this is, as I said, I think this is an Austrian edition, so everything is kind of in German, but the Blu-rays are actually in English as well. Obviously, you could hear them in original language. And this is how the poster and the t-shirt look like. You can see them behind Belial there, behind the Basket Case. And you get a lot of discs because you get all of the movies as Blu-rays and you get them all as DVDs as well, plus extras. And this is where they should have written the limitation number, but they didn't. Bad them. So it's a tiny little low budget production. Somebody did this. I think it's super cool. I love these little small runs of unknown movies. Could you imagine the love if somebody actually really went the whole effort to create this for an unknown movie for cinema history, but not unknown for the horror genre? Horror lovers all know Basket Case. Oh, KDF says this movie is thrilling. I love it. Oh, Katie, have you watched Basket Case? Yeah, it's a really good one, isn't it? You guys, any idea how long? Is this as long as it is? No, not the movie, the live stream. Yeah, live streams vary from week to week, darling. So anyway, this was Basket Case, the unboxing of a limited edition set. Go check out the movie. If you have watched Basket Case, let me know in the comment section down below what you think about it. All 3 parts. I'm a fan of all 3. Of course, we love the first one the most, but I love how more higher budget the other parts became, and how even though they became more higher budget, they became even more interesting and kooky to watch, because you could still see that a lot of love was put into them, no matter how the budget was. Anyway, if you did like this video, thumb it up, subscribe to my channel, and as I said, let me know in the comment sections what you think. And until next time, never forget to never give up on Basket Case love. This was Totally Dacob. Until next time, bye. Audrey says, just looked it up on IMDb, looks so bloody. No, it's not bloody. Let me do a thumbnail. It's behind me. Oh, my freaking hair, whatever. No, I preferred it with it, actually. Good boy, Belial. It's not really a slasher. No, it is a slasher. It is a slasher. It is it there's slasher moments in it. Lynn, I am wearing Rouge Noir by Chanel. So let me close up Belial. So how's everybody doing? Are you all ready for Halloween? Are you all ready for the party? This coming Sunday, October 31st, 2021, I will be live streaming from my main YouTube channel, Super Dacob. I will be live streaming the Halloween party or bash. And hey, CC Spy, thank you so much. Yeah, you have the same lipstick, right? Well, you have the nail polish. Scent of the day, Audrey says STD, Vintage Cristal, but the top notes have gone. Oh, but the bottom notes are still good. Dacob, your D logo looks just like the comb that came with the gem dolls. I love it. Which D logo? Which one are you talking about? Oh, you mean my Totally Dacob, the Totally Dacob logo. Yeah. That one does look like Gem in the holograms. Oh, Debbie says my costume is barely ready. I'll definitely be there Saturday, says KDF. I mean, you guys, as I said, it's not like you have to all be in costume. I was just like thinking it would be kind of sad. Could you imagine if like only I'm in costume and nobody else? Because I'm telling you, like, yeah, you can call in even if you're not in costume. Could you imagine, like, everybody calls in and everybody's on camera? Nobody's in costume, and I'm the only one in costume. Like, I would like to avoid that, if possible. Oh, good. Audrey says, waiting for my wig to arrive, Dacob. Can't wait to dress up for Saturday's stream. Yas, queens. Oh, my gosh. I have to... How do I... So, he comes in this box. So, this... Oh, it's Sunday, not Saturday. What am I saying? You know it's Sunday. Well, you don't know, but it's Sunday. Saturday is the normal live stream. Sunday is Halloween. Sunday. Sunday is the Halloween live stream. And you know I'm going to keep making mistakes because I'm focusing on what I have to do next. And I'm talking to you about... Hold on. Let me just put him in here because... I have so much stuff here that I have to pack him back. So that nothing bad happens to him while I am moving all this stuff around in the Fashion Bunker studio. So, okay, so Debbie says her costume is barely ready. I mean, mine is kind of ready, I want to say. But you never know because the tragedy is always the makeup. Because, you know, like putting on a costume, if you don't have prosthetics, it takes the time it takes. But you always have to really, really calculate makeup because I always underestimate the makeup. And I always think, you know, but makeup takes a lot of time. And I'm not talking about crazy movie type of, you know, horror movie makeup. I'm talking about makeup. Just looking good for a camera without having any prosthetics. Even that takes a lot of work. And I always underestimate it. And I'm always like, where did the time go? How come I don't have time? I was, oh, really? I spent over an hour in makeup already? Damn. And it's just time flies when you're doing makeup. And it doesn't even look like you're doing something huge. It's just what it is. Letty says, Dacob, have you watched the movie Prom Night with Jamie Lee Curtis? And if so, do you recommend it? Is it Prom Night? Is that the one with Jamie Lee Curtis? I have watched it. I think it has a different name, no? It's early in the morning. If it's early in the morning, I won't be other than a t-shirt. Well, we can talk about that. Audrey says, what time are you starting on Sunday? Okay, so, well, the idea was to start like today, the same time. But I don't know at this point. I mean, I would start the same time, like today. I have ruined a great costume with makeup, says KDF. Oh, my mask is ready, says Pixel. That's amazing. No costume yet, says Robert, but you have some really good idea, though, that you shared with me the other day. I'm Louis says I can wear my pirate shirt. Yeah, you can Westwood yourself up and be the pirate for the live stream. Audrey says, what time are you starting? So, I mean, you can get dressed while watching the live stream. That's also super fun. You know, like while you're tuned in and we're talking, you could be getting ready while we're talking on camera. That's also fun. Yeah, ruining stuff with makeup is... been there, done that. Wait, hold on. Does this thing have... And also props. Oh my God. Makeup is such... Like, you gotta be so careful. Oh, it is prom night. Yeah. Then I know it. Would I recommend it? Well, anything with Jamie Lee Curtis is recommendable. Especially The Fog. Oh, and a fish called Wanda, or named Wanda. I'm going to be an old lady from Boca Raton, says KDF. Oh, with curly hair. Because of the humidity. An old lady from Boca Raton with curly hair. That's amazing. $6:45, that's brilliant. It's a school night, so won't be on too late. Yeah, 6:45 your time in Great Britain. Or, 7 or 7:50. Yeah, maybe 7:15, depending, Lots of jewels and fabrics, says KDF. Yeah, Boca Raton, yeah. You're going to need to be... like very much. Oh my God, what I really don't want? Some people, and this is so sick, are like online, again, TikTok sphere, like, they want to dress up like Brian Laundrie. Girl, no. Or Gabby Petito, girl, no, that is in such poor taste. Like, please don't do that. Could you imagine? Oh, I'm Louis says I just got a pink coat, very Golden Girls vibes, shoulder pads. Oh, loving it. I love that for you. Oh my God, this is gonna be so difficult. Yeah, it's super vile, isn't it? Like, who would do that? Gotta be a total sicko. Oh my God, to align these things. Got it. I know it's terrible, but so we're not gonna do that, obviously. Ah, finally, we got it packed, you guys. I don't know where to put it now. Put it back there so I can move it later. Later. Ah, we still got the jacket here from the opening scenes. All right. Hold on, you guys. Okay, now I'm gonna sit down and we're gonna fade into crimson. I'm gonna have my blood. KDF says, I did Anna Nicole one year, but she was still living. Oh, she was living when you were Anna Nicole's. Why would you dress up as a living? That defeats the purpose of Halloween, though. I mean, I don't know, depends. I guess Halloween is different for everybody, right? You could create a thing for sure. That phrase from Bubba the other day. Oh, I don't know it. Jaxie said, you also got people who dress as famous serial killers. Oh, yeah, true. True. Living and also non-living. You know what I mean? If anyone is sick enough to come and chat with names like that, they will be removed. Wait, who came in with what name? Oh, there was a troll? I missed it? Cha. I saw a hilarious costume. Someone in a blue Grim Reaper costume with the blue screen of death text printed on the blue Grim Reaper cloak and sky. Jeez Louise. That sounds complicated. I watched Beetlejuice yesterday. I wish I can dress up like him or at least like Winona Ryder. Brilliant movie. I watched Winona Ryder, but in Dracula yesterday. You know, I don't know. I don't know. I remembered it differently, to be honest with you. Like, the special effects are interesting. The cinematography is interesting. How Francis Ford Coppola did it, right? But I think casting wise, they kept pushing it love story, love story, love story. But I didn't feel the chemistry between Gary Oldman and Winona Ryder. It just didn't. It just didn't feel right to me. And I think that they didn't dedicate enough time for their love story to develop. So I never felt for them. I never felt for their love. I never felt emotions for her finally deciding to go with him. I felt like more attention was dedicated to the special effects and the cinematography, then there was attention dedicated to developing the part of the plot line where we get to feel for Mina and Dracula. Interesting that her name is Mina, because, you know, my favorite singer is Mina, and Mina, to play on the game of Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula, she made an album called I Finally Met Count Dracula, Mina. It's such a gorgeous album. The cover is so beautiful and cryptic. It's just her hand being shocked. You see a little bit of the red hair she has. You don't see her face. And it's like Dracula kind of caught her while she was writing the letter. And she was kind of caught in the moment by Dracula. It's a really cool, really, really, really cool cover. And I love the album. And it's an album from the 80s. Jack says her role in Dracula was not so good. It felt like they limited her a little. Winona? Yeah, I mean, well, they limited her by making her speak with the British accent, which is not her forte. Not at all. Someone should be a luxury bag YouTuber and carry like 50 trendy CCs, fake all unicorn colors. Oh my God. Robert says, real horror story here. Okay, so a Kentucky Fried Chicken opened near me today. My wallet is scared AF. Ooh, I want some KFC too, Robert. Yummy, yummy. Jack says, well, maybe the point was not to feel empathetic of their love because the point of view is from Dracula, who wouldn't care. You see, this is the point. I don't know if he made Mina fall in love with him or if she really remembered that in a past life it was her and he is the love of her life and she will keep coming back over and over and over again, reborn until they are reunited. Like that wasn't very clear to me because, I mean, the thing is, he can have whoever he wants. He did it with Lucy. He hypnotized, entranced, call it whatever you want to call it, whatever he does to her or to people. He did it to Lucy, and he had her under his spell. He turned her into a vampire. So, like, he could have done it to Mina as well, but I think the idea they wanted to convey was that she remembered that actually she was somebody else in a past life. Barbara says, Italian singers are amazing, love them. Well, not all of them, but Mina is the best, in my humble opinion. Oh, Letty asks, who would I have cast for instead of Keanu Reeves, Gary Oldman, and Winona Ryder? I agree with you on the lack of chemistry, but one of my favorite movies of all time is Dracula. All right, well, let me film this segment then, if we're going to talk Dracula. Hello, everybody. We are in the Crimson Dungeons talking about Bram Stoker's Dracula by Francis Ford Coppola. And we're in the live streams right now, and I have all my wonderful co-chatters, and we've been just talking about the quality of Dracula, or lack thereof, the 90s movie by Francis Ford Coppola. So Letty just asked me, Dacob, who would you have cast for, instead of Keanu Reeves, Gary Oldman, and Winona Ryder? I mentioned before that I didn't feel much chemistry between Winona Ryder and Gary Oldman. It just doesn't flow. I don't feel like they're really in love. And yet, Letty, it's an interesting question because I still, Gary, definitely, I would have kept Gary as Dracula. But Winona Ryder, I think the problem with Winona Ryder and Keanu Reeves is that they tried to make them speak with a British accent. And that really did not work in their favor, in the actor's favor. Now, Keanu Reeves is just so beautiful, handsome, mesmerizing, still today, but back then, I mean, there's a certain sadness and quality to his looks, you know, and I think he just, in the 80s, he shot My Own Private Idaho with Gus Van Sant, right, with Phoenix. which is where I fell in love with Keanu Reeves. I mean, that My Own Private Idaho is the movie where it's love for me, really. Or did he shoot it after Dracula? But so the Francis Ford Coppola 90s Dracula. Keanu Reeves is just, there's something about him. I think he was cast well. And I know a lot of people are not happy with him in that movie, that he's just like too stiff, doesn't convey emotions. But I think the stiffness is called for that part. And yes, it's true. It's better when he doesn't talk. But he's just so beautiful, or handsome, you should say, for a guy. But I mean, he's so gender fluid in a way as well. He's just he's gorgeous. So, but there's a torment in the way he looks, right? So I think he conveys the most when he doesn't speak in that movie. Him just sitting and being there creates a whole mood and a whole vibe. But there was an interesting, I was watching somebody reviewing the movie, and they said something about, they invested so much money in the special effects, and boy, some of those effects were really amazing. And I want to rewatch the movie over and over again just because of the special effects, not because of the plot line or because of the acting. Even though Anthony Hopkins and Gary Oldman were both amazing, impeccable. There's like hands down, nothing bad to say about it. And the lady who acted Lucy, she was incredible too, I gotta say. Forgot her name. But I kind of want to rewatch it over and over again just for the effects. Now, if I were to shoot a Dracula movie, like Bram Stoker's Dracula, not just some vampire story like Twilight, like Dracula, the book, I would not have gone so pop on it. They went for Universal Monsters type of vibe in some instances with the camera shots and the huge sets and the falling apart buildings. As beautiful as it is to see, it's also so artificial to a point where the artificiality becomes an intricate part of the plot line. And I guess the artificiality of Dracula being somebody who denies the power of God and kind of at the beginning of the movie, rages against him, and then kind of is cursed because he dares challenge God in a way. So there's that artificiality of his life. He's dead but undead, so he's a vampire. So it's an artificial life. So I kind of get that the aesthetic of the movie is pushed to an artificial level. But I would honestly, maybe that's because we were in the 90s when Dracula was shot, when Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula was shot. But if I were to shoot Dracula today, I would go for the hyper real, and I wouldn't go for the, the lipstick, the pale face, the wig, the hair, the whole Nosferatu thing. Here I have, here we have like a Bela Lugosi type of mask that I have, a latex mask of Dracula. This is kind of an old school Dracula that we know, but I would go for, I gotta say, I am a fan of the first Twilight movie. I'm a sucker for it. I just think the way that they conveyed that love just worked. It's a teeny movie, but it's perfection. That type of flavor, I would add that to Bram Stoker's Dracula. Now, I'm not saying I'll do it with teenies and stuff. No, I would still convey death and the macabre and the decay and the fact that you're an undead creature now, but you still never forgot, like you're tortured, you're cursed because for centuries and centuries, the only love of your life you've lost because, well, in the movie at least, the Turks, to avenge or to have revenge against Vlad, he won the war or the battle with them, but then they sent a letter to Mina to tell her that Vlad died in the battle. So she thinks her love died. So she commits suicide because she believes the letter that was sent to her by the Turks saying that her lover died in war, when in fact he didn't. So when he comes back home triumphant, he sees her dead because she thought he was killed, and she didn't want to live without him. So she committed that sacrifice. Well, it's not a sacrifice. She just didn't want to live. She actually wrote, I hope that by killing myself, I can finally be reunited with you because you are dead too. So it's this ultimate sacrifice for love gesture, which kind of breaks him. And that's when he goes against God and is so angry that God let that happen. And then he becomes cursed and he becomes Dracula. Now, the book is much different. That's not how it happens in the book. But anyway, that's how it happens in Francis Ford Coppola's movie. So anyway, you're cursed for centuries. You can't die anymore. Well, technically you could kill yourself because there are ways to kill Dracula. So in a way, he's also egotistical because he doesn't want to kill himself, because if he wanted to, he could. He has his little banshees, these little vampire chicks that he created, all of those, creatures of the night. He could just command them to kill him. Maybe they can't kill him by some underworld law, but stake through the heart, wooden stake through the heart, chopping head off. I mean, there's ways to kill Dracula. Dracula does die at the end of the movie. But still, you're looking for that love, and she's kind of reincarnated after centuries and centuries. And we don't, in the movie, I don't feel it. I don't feel that chemistry between them. Also, Gary Oldman looks not just older when he's the old Dracula at the beginning of the movie, but even when he's his younger self in the 90s. I mean, not in the 90s. In the 1800s, I mean, in London, when he has the curly long hair and the chic 90s glasses that look very, steampunk. Even then, he looks much older than her. So there's that age discrepancy, which, whatever. You love whatever age you want to love, if you're of age, obviously. But it didn't help the romance for me, especially because Keanu Reeves is so handsome. And Keanu Reeves is supposed to marry Winona Ryder in the movie. And they're both, I mean, Winona Ryder is as beautiful as any creature can get. I mean, Winona Ryder is just divine, still today, divine. So she's really beautiful. Keanu Reeves is super handsome. Sure, his character, he's lacking in character. Gary Oldman has the character. But looks-wise, once you've seen Winona with Keanu Reeves together, you're like, yeah, that chemistry works much better. And then you don't believe anymore when Gary Oldman kicks in, comes to London, and the first time he sees Mina and he makes her see him, you can't believe it. You can't believe it because you've already seen her with Keanu Reeves. That was more, I'm not saying that was the best chemistry, but it was more chemistry than what we have with Gary Oldman. So because that chemistry was lacking, I think they should have dedicated more time to giving us alternative possibilities for us to feel their love story developing. They tried, but even when they tried, it still felt like they were still trying more to deliver special effects properly rather than developing our emotion for their love story. You know what I mean? And then Anthony Hopkins comes in and you're like, oh my gosh, Hannibal the Cannibal. He has his little scar. He's Van Helsing. He's there. He going for it, But he delivers and Gary Oldman delivers. All the others are kind of these puppets in between this whirlwind of these two major actors and a major director, because Francis Ford Coppola is up there. And you get lost between these cardinal points of Anthony Hopkins and Gary Oldman, the special effects, which are constantly artificial to a point where it's very romantic and beautiful to watch, but it kills off the emotion, because it's like you're constantly watching paintings, photos, abstract art. You're watching the depiction of crimson red in all its hues and shades, hence why we are with this red filter right now as well, for a reason, obviously. But you keep going through it, and the movie's over, and you want to rewatch it again just to see the beauty of the pictures, but the sacrifice to pay was the story. And yes, some of the costumes were very related to the 90s. They could have worked a bit harder to make them more timeless. I mean, Gary Oldman's costume, Vlad's costume when he went to war, that whole costume that resembles stripped, just muscle texture, like stripped of all its skin. That's something I don't know who did the costumes. Actually, I should have checked. It's something Jean-Paul Gaultier would have made back then. And in fact, what do we have in the 90s also? Gary Oldman in Luc Besson's The Fifth Element, who was dressing him, who was dressing everybody in that. It was a French production because Luc Besson is a French filmmaker, but Jean-Paul Gaultier did the costumes for The Fifth Element. Gary Oldman was kind of the bad guy in The Fifth Element. We're supposed to feel empathy for Dracula in Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula. Yeah, Gary Oldman is good at conveying that, but I don't feel the love between him and Mina. What do you guys say in the chats? Kanye would have been amazing in the silent movie era, says Jack Dean. Oh, Kanye Reeves in the silent movie era? Divine. Yes, you said it, I got goosebumps. I totally agree with you. Debbie says, shut up and be pretty? LOL. Yes, handsome, pretty, but also he has pain. He conveys pain through stillness. He conveys depth through stillness. There is a pain in his beauty, which is just so beautiful to look at. So we're not just objectifying him, but in a way, yeah. Edu says the costumes were amazing. Vijay says my favorite Dracula film with Luke Evans. Dracula Untold, I think, says VJ Loves. I mean, I have a lot of really favorites when it comes to Dracula movies, but I love Shadow of a Vampire with Willem Dafoe as Nosferatu. It's almost like a reality documentary about the shooting of the movie Nosferatu, and they were shooting, allegedly, right? They were shooting with a real Nosferatu, and he was super scared because he didn't know. I love that movie so much. So Shadow of a Vampire with Willem Dafoe is one of my favorite, kind of on the topic of Nosferatu / vampires, but veering away from Bram Stoker's Dracula. Jack says, well, there's a question of whether the human soul leaves the body when the vampire is created. Right. Except in the movie, they say it leaves the soul, Jack. But when Mina plummeted to her death, she wasn't a vampire. She committed suicide, normal human, and that done. Soul left the body, reincarnated centuries later in the new Mina in London. Katie says, I could see Anya Taylor-Joy as Mina. I love Winona. Winona Ryder, says Katie F. Just says, I'm going to give Vampire Gay Bear realness on Sunday. Oh, yes, Queen, give us some Vampire Gay Bear realness. We're loving that. Robert wants to be a teddy bear. Elko Ishioka was the costume designer, says Jack. Oh, thank you. No, Aiko Ishioka. Oh, okay, interesting. Oh, my gosh. By the way, okay, this is also something that nobody or almost nobody talks about when they talk about Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula. Annie Lennox. Now, I would love to play the song. Now, obviously, we can't for copyright reasons, but her song for the movie, and it doesn't play in the movie, which is a pity, but it plays in the end credits at the end of the movie. I actually posted it just yesterday. When I posted the poster, oh, I wish I uploaded the poster to my Halloween bash so I could kind of blend it in here. But anyway, hold on. Let me see if I can find Annie Lennox. I'm not going to play it, though. I just want to see the exact title. So anyway, I played that song on my Insta story. I'm looking for it, bugging for it. Ah, there she is. Love Song for a Vampire. Now, let me tell you something. I haven't really looked into did Francis Ford Coppola direct that music video? I don't think he did. I'm reading here. Album is from the Ballads, Annie Lennox, licensed to orchestra music, blah, 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 blah. No. Okay, it doesn't say. I'm looking on Annie Lennox's own YouTube channel, and I'm looking in her own credits of the song right now. It doesn't, she didn't post, or whoever for her did not post who the director of the video clip was. Maybe somebody can Google and let me know. By the way, let me cue in me as a vampire. Hit it. All right, so this is my poster. For the Halloween Bash. Be sure to tune in this Sunday, October 31st, for the Halloween Bash on my main YouTube channel. Everybody's invited. Dress up, put makeup on, and you don't have to dress up if you want to. Just call in. We're going to have cameras. I mean, you're going to be on screen with me, and we're going to be chatting, talking. I will be in makeup. I have already a costume. So anyway, so as I was promoting this poster, and the event to happen this Sunday, I played a little snippet, a 15-second snippet from Love Song for a Vampire. Now, this video, Annie Lennox in Love Song for a Vampire, that's timeless. You see, this is when sorry, I know a lot of y'all's really love Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula. Hold on, let me move to the side. We can just leave this on while I'm talking for a second here. I know a lot of y'all really love Bram Stoker's Dracula, right? But Annie Lennox, her video, that song, that mood. So Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula is very segregated to the 80s style-wise. Even though he tried to make it go back into the 20s, go back to the Universal era of monsters. It was a tribute to cinema. He worked with a lot of cinematographic effects, old school effects. Yeah, all good and great. But Annie Lennox's video is more timeless than the Dracula movie. The way that her makeup, her costume, the added prosthetics that they did for her hands to make them like white as if she's like dying at the corner, like the extremities of her body are drying out and turning white. The expressions of her face, you know, Annie Lennox is anyway very vampiric in her way. They made her even more pale, and you know, she has those shadows under her cheeks, and she moved so like, you know, very almost like a geisha in a way, but she moved just little movements, very slow, nothing. There was no 20s silent movie era moments like, you know, we're used to, like this, you know, this kind of Nosferatu thing does that, or like, you know, all of that was not happening. She was more about this, and you know, the slow movement of it, and the song is just so ethereal. So the song actually delivered and conveyed to me the concept of this eternal love of this vampire that never reaches really who he strives and longs for centuries and centuries. That song, how long is it? How long is this song? Hold on. Couple of minutes, basically. 4 minutes and 30 seconds. So the video clip is 4 minutes and 30 seconds. In 4 minutes and 30 seconds, she conveys what the entire movie that is over 2 hours long couldn't convey as well as a 4-minute song. Now, we know that music is very powerful. Music is more strong than visuals in many cases. We have this great example of 2001 Space Odyssey. Also sprach Zarathustra, to use that music in a science fiction movie like that, or The Blue Danube, only Stanley Kubrick could get away with it, because that music is so overpowering. You could show no matter what crappy image, and the music will take charge. Kubrick, being the genius that he was, may he rest in peace, he elevated the visuals to the music. Very rare, almost unachievable. And this is what I'm telling you. Annie Lennox with Love Song for a Vampire. Oh, that's where it's at. That's where it's at. And that song, and it was not used in the movie. And I wonder why. I think it wasn't used in the movie because it would be overbearing. It would have stolen the show. This song and Annie Lennox would have stolen the show. Annie Lennox should have been in the movie. They should have given her a speaking part. I mean, I guess she didn't want to act, or I don't know, but whatever. But she is the vampire that I wanted to see in Dracula. That song, Jack Dean says that song and that music video, Jack, are incredible, incredible. Letty says, I would have loved to see Eva Green as Mina in that movie. Although her presence would have been too strong for Kenyu's character, Annie Lennox's song is to die for. Love Song for a Vampire, MV was directed by British director Sophie Muller. So Sophie Muller directed the Annie Lennox video. Thank you for that information, Jack. Letty says, I watched that movie on VHS. I rented from Blockbuster. I would stop replay to write down the lyrics of that song. Made me cry for hours. And now you could watch it on YouTube, on Annie Lennox's own YouTube channel. And just her makeup and her dress, the costume, I'm looking at it now as it's happened. And the way she moves her eye, she knows how to act in front of the camera. She knows how to move. Annie Lennox is incredible, incredible. And this song, actually, thanks to this song, the movie ages a bit less. Unfortunately, the song is played only at the end of the movie. And as I said, because they would have stolen the show, I feel, if they played the song during the movie. Fantastic poster, says Antonella. Thank you so much. Frank Langella was one of my favorites. Laurence Olivier loved it. Jack says, Sophie Muller has directed a huge amount of music videos, including Eurythmics. Well, obviously, I mean, she must have if Annie Lennox wanted to work with her. PJ Harvey 2, Bjork, etc. Wow. That's really cool. I mean, definitely, this lady Sophie Muller has a feeling for drama, but conveying it in such an elegant way. So, yes, the aesthetics are 90s in the video clip, in the music clip, but Annie Lennox as a vampire, there's nothing like it. So they should have cast her somehow. Maybe Annie Lennox was already too old to be Lucy or to be Mina, because I guess they wanted Mina to be as innocent as possible to contrast the decay of the lack of the soul of Dracula. But there's ways in which, for example, what is very poetic to me is what Netflix is doing with Castlevania. The Dracula, even though in a cartoon anime form, the way that Dracula is portrayed, or the opposite, again, that duality coming in here, Alucard, which is the opposite, Dracula spelled backwards is Alucard. So we got Alucard / Dracula, Dracula's son, who is a son of a mortal woman and an immortal being, Dracula, how he deals with existence on a planet that is ravaged by hate, blood spilling, curses, the church taking power where it shouldn't, and then vampires and then other beasts battling each other. It's incredible. Like, there are ways of conveying also love and pain for not having love, which are timeless. Very timeless. I have the feeling that Francis Ford Coppola is a dude, not a very emotional dude. You know, he's the Godfather type of guy, okay? He's going to make a Godfather movie. But he's not going to... You give him a topic like Dracula, and he's going to go for the technical aspect of making it like a cool dude movie. And Dracula is about love. So he's going to have to touch base on the love, but he'll never really dive into it because, you know, he's a dude. It's not really... The whole movie feels to me as if Gary Oldman is trying to convey emotions, but they're kind of directing him to dial it back in a way. And Winona Ryder was so concerned for nailing her accent that she kind of lost herself in the emotion. The emotions were like, it just felt they were over-directed. Now, it is also said that Winona Ryder actually brought the script for Dracula to Francis Ford Coppola. So she had her paws in it. She decided what she wanted to do, probably. So in a way, she got what she wanted, right? So we can't just say she was a victim of it. I don't think she was. I think she was happy with how it turned out for her. I personally do not know who I would have back in the 90s. Who would I have cast instead of them? I think despite it all, Keanu Reeves was still great, even though but then again, they invested so much money in makeup and special effects, but they kept, his hair was a mess because he was supposed to show aging and being parasitically abused by the vampire. So his hair is supposed to turn white, gray, and then white. It looked cheaply done. It didn't really change to gray. Like they had a budget. They could have done his hair better. But also in one scene his hair was completely white, and then 2 scenes later his hair is completely normal again. And I was like, oh my gosh, how could they make such a mistake? But they did. But mistakes like that do happen. So I think Keanu Reeves was good in his role despite all the, maybe they should have just avoided trying to make them speak with a British accent, because they really did not nail those accents at all. They should have just let them speak in, American English and call it a day. And just call it a day. Honestly, because just that's just my opinion. But anyway, having said all that, the nostalgic aesthetic of that movie makes you want to watch it over and over again. Not so much the plot line. It's more the attention to detail of the sets. But I've also heard in some other interview or reporting about this movie that Francis Ford Coppola wanted it to be more real, but that the film studios was like, no, it has to be huge set designs. It has to look artificial. It has to look like a 20s Universal Studios monster movie, which it did, but on an exponentially higher budget. So I wonder how it would have turned out if Francis Ford Coppola was allowed to really give it that naturalistic touch with even less emotions. I think it would have worked in its favor, because the aesthetics were so over the top emotional. They were so full of affect, not effect, but the effect, that Baroque, that whole emphasis, the costumes, the set design, everything was so over the top that Francis Ford Coppola had no choice. You had to deliver that same thing with the emotions, but there he didn't do. Gary tried as much as he could, but the overall, it lacked. The emotions were not as high as the aesthetics of the movie. And that's where the unbalance starts happening for me. Jack says absolutely, or to me or to somebody else. Oh no, Julian Sands, but maybe he was too old. But oh wait, okay, sorry, you're talking about something else. Sophie Muller has directed a huge amount of other music videos. Letty says Sophie Muller should have been the director of the movie, in my humble opinion. That's a good idea. Sophie has only done 2 full-length films, 300 music videos. I don't know if she could do a full film, says Jack. They should have hired British actors maybe to do the roles of Winona Ryder and Keanu Reeves, says Jack. Pixel Hexes says to Jack, maybe Julian Sands, but maybe he was too old by then. Jack says absolutely. Lily Bonfi says Tom Waits was great. Debbie says, oh, Julian Sands, Warlock. Jack says, your hands are giving me Gloria Swanson. This moves. I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille. Yeah. Very, very much Sunset Boulevard, which is also a huge classic. And in fact, David Lynch, one of his favorite movies together with The Wizard of Oz. I'm talking about David Lynch in particular because as Dracula came out in the early 90s, Twin Peaks came out in the early 90s, and Francis Ford Coppola being the art director that is also David Lynch, they also look from each other, who does what. And there are similarities between 90s Twin Peaks and Dracula. Just in the flavor of things, I want to say, in the warmness of the cameras use and the film use. Now I'm going to touch base on the last part of my analysis of Dracula, and then we can call it a day. By the way, let me blend out the poster. Anyway, last time I'm going to say it. Join this Sunday, October 31st. Everyone's invited. Let's have fun. Let's have fun in the Fashion Bunker, everybody. We're going to be all on camera. You're all going to be here popping on my sides, and we're all going to be talking in costume or getting ready to, a Halloween party. My biggest issue with this movie is its popularity. And by that, I don't mean just because everybody loves to watch it. No, by that I mean because it has become the most famous memed movie of all times. Maybe not of all times, but of all horror times. And by that I mean The Simpsons. Now, The Simpsons also make a lot of fun and spoofs of Twin Peaks. And there are scenes of Lisa in the Red Room, we all know. But you cannot help but when you rewatch Dracula now, I cannot help but always see Mr. Burns as Gary Oldman walking around with his, little, the two little tits on his head. Walking around. And so I had to laugh yesterday when I rewatched Dracula because the first half of the movie is definitely better than the second half. I mean, the first third of the movie. The first act, first and second act. Because all of the scenes with Gary Oldman / Dracula in his castle with the tits on his head and the red robe, that's just beautiful. That is worth rewatching over and over and over again. But the problem is The Simpsons have appropriated it. Talk about cultural appropriation. This is film appropriation, okay? I know The Simpsons did a spoof, but it's such a powerful spoof that every time I see that scene with Gary Oldman, I cannot help but see Mr. Burns as Gary Oldman walking through his Simpson castle, and it's just a joke. So it makes you laugh because it's already, the movie is like a cartoon. It's also borderline comical. Maybe it was scary for the 90s, but when you watch Dracula today, it's not scary. It's oversaturated with mannerism and aesthetics that you can't relate emotionally to it. And again, this is because I think Francis Ford Coppola, that's how he deals or not deals with emotions. But then you have that added layer of Simpsons or other cartoons or other billion memes out there that have kind of homaged the Gary Oldman Dracula, so that now when you actually watch the original Gary Oldman as Dracula, you cannot help but in your mind overblend on top of him all of these memes and all of these other spoofs. So it was hard for me yesterday rewatching it to detach myself from The Simpsons. You know what I mean, you guys? Oh my God, I had completely forgotten about The Simpsons parody sister. How can you forget about it, Jack? It's like the most Barbara says, yes, you're right. Then it should have been Johnny Depp. Sorry, getting super sleepy, getting late here. Johnny Depp, actually, I also heard like it was supposed to be Johnny Depp, but the film studio said, no, we need somebody even more handsome than Johnny Depp. And I'm like, more handsome than Johnny Depp? In the 90s? What planet are we on? This is when straight people decide which handsome men are to get apart. My humble opinion. I know there's a bunch of gays in Hollywood, but I'm like, Johnny, yes? Johnny Depp could have done it, hands down, super easy. Barbara says, yes, you're right. No, Johnny Depp, for sure. Johnny Depp, I would have loved to have seen him. I would have loved to have seen Johnny Depp. Both are great, though, I gotta say. So one of my socioanalysis professors always used The Simpsons as a metaphor, says Jack. Huh. From which, because, Simpsons are like 30, how many seasons? 34 seasons of The Simpsons by now. You know what professors in universities use and high schools use a lot when they talk about film history and socioanalytical aspects of film in society? They usually use Pretty Woman. Pretty Woman is one of the most used examples of movies for some sort of social studies. So I'm interested to see how he used The Simpsons and which episode of The Simpsons did he use, or just in general The Simpsons. in his speeches. Yeah, Jack says straight casting directors. Well, the casting director doesn't choose who's going to ultimately act in the movie. The casting director facilitates casting for directors, producers, executive producers, all the execs in the film industry. But ultimately, it's who gives the money who decides. That's so. So the casting director, the casting couch, is not always in the casting director's office, but the casting couch can also be in the executive producer's office. Catch my drift? Mr. Weinstein, hi. But so, and co. So, yes, Pixel Hex's Pretty Woman is often utilized in socioanalytical aspects of film and society. Jack says, gosh, I can't remember which specific episodes he would include clips at the end of the lectures. Oh, of The Simpsons? That is funny. Well, anyway, you guys, this was kind of my analysis broken down in thought processi of Bram Stoker / Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula. Final verdict, taken in its cinematographically aesthetical cinematography aspects and effects, beautiful, worth rewatching. And here's the twist. You can turn the sound off because a lot of the text and the acting isn't top notch from the younger actors. But if you just watch it as a painting, if you just play it on a wall in a gallery and you just watch it as a moving painting, then Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula really delivers. And you can just have it in rotation, hanging on a wall, like you would have a photo or a painting hanging on a wall. You could have, now in the 90s, there were no flat screen TVs. You could have projectors, but now you could literally install certain size of a flat screen, flat TV thing on your wall and just have the digital Dada movie on it and play that in loop as a painting in your house. Then Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula is a masterpiece. The Stendhal syndrome, you get that with Dracula. You fall into that painting. It's like a dream. It's like a vision. Just don't let them talk. Just watch it flat on a wall as a painting, and then you're good to go. I think that's the best way to enjoy, in today's day and age, the 90s movie, Dracula by Francis Ford Coppola. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you will like this conversation. If you have thumb up this video and let me know your thoughts about Francis Ford Coppola in the comment section down below. This was totally Dacob with Dracula and about Dracula. Well, this is Bela Lugosi more than anything else. But until next time, sweet, spookily vampiric dreams to y'all. Bye. So you guys, we have had another conversation, duality, the good Chucky, the bad Chucky, Belial, the good twin, the bad twin, crimson being a color red. Red means blood. It means death, but red and blood also means life. It's the color of the devil, but it's also the color of relief. Evil has a duality in it as well, because evil spelled backwards means live. We have also touched base on perfumes today. We have gone on a journey through tuberose criminelle and the duality of tuberose, its intoxicating aspects, but also the delicate aspects of it, the hiding in the darkness of the tuberose and showing you its true face, the duality of fragrance. We have ventured into the duality of the dweller on the threshold with Twin Peaks, and we have spoken about the Black Lodge and the Red Room. We have read The Conqueror Worm, the poem by Edgar Allan Poe, which initiated this live stream. And also fascinating note, we began with The Conqueror Worm, and we're going to end with The Conqueror Worm as well, in some vampiric beliefs. The Crimson Worm is the genesis of the vampire. Is like so there's that duality as well. The vampire being this huge monster of a creature, omnipotent, but all its power is within one miniature tiny crimson worm, and that worm gives him all the power. So there's that duality as well, of the small, of the micro as opposed to the macro. Big isn't always little, and little isn't always big. Good isn't always evil, evil isn't always good. We went through the review of Chucky, season 1, episode 3 together. We've analyzed the duality of mixing personalities, male, female, good and evil there as well. And we have come out at the end of that journey kind of cathartic in a way, because we have experienced so much together during this live stream. Jack says, love the convo tonight. Barbara says, for me, there is nothing like Silence of the Lambs, the classic. By the way, where's your Chucky? Oh, Chucky was here, Barbara. We had both Chuckies today in the show. Debbie says, I missed some stuff again. Yeah, you were gone for like more than half the show. So I called this live stream Crimson because I didn't want to give away also the concept of what I wanted to convey, and that was a sort of a conversation. You know, we do have the interview with a vampire, which is kind of like Vampire Diaries. Well, there's also Vampire Diaries, but I wanted to make this live stream feel a little bit like Confessions of a Vampire. You know, a vampire talking to people on camera, trying to analyze the existence of a vampire, the duality of it all. Oh yeah, and then we touched base on Belial, Basket Case, a whole other duality. We unboxed the Basket Case limited edition box. We've spoken about the twins that are separated, not at birth, a couple of years later, and one of them turning evil, one of them being good. Chucky saying that you're born evil. You don't have to turn evil. The best killers are the ones that are born evil. So many layers to this live stream, and I hope you will want to rewatch it again in the future in this crimson world we live in, because I will leave the live stream up for everybody to watch. Thank you everybody for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed the live stream. Thank you, Dacob. Thank you, Debbie and Jack and Audrey, our 4 mods, for keeping us safe in the crimson bunker, in the Confessions of a Vampire Crimson bunker. So big round of applause to all of our mods, and thank you to everybody else who tuned in, to Nicole, to Pixel Hexes, to Barbara, whoever is there, Rich Mitch, Lynn's Review, happy birthday to you guys, to Kira. This was our last pre-show before Halloween. We shall meet on a Halloween. You're all invited to tune in next Sunday. This coming Sunday, October 31st, for the Halloween bash in the Fashion Bunker. This was the last live stream on Totally Dacob. In terms of live streams counting down to Halloween, we have done 4 together. The first one was entering the realm of Halloween and All Hallows Eve, as we spoke about nightmares and the meaning of nightmares and where they stem from, where they come from. Then we moved on from there into Chucky Sphere. We unboxed Chucky. We compared Chucky from Seed of Chucky to the regular Chucky. We were celebrating the arrival of Don Mancini's show, new series Chucky, which is just mind-blowingly beautiful to me, and the psychology behind it. It's a coming-of-age teeny story, but it just merited a whole live stream, also because they were so clever to release the show during Halloween season, so it just merits and warrants a full live stream. Then we moved on from there to The Haunting of Dacob Manor, which is the live stream we did last week, where we delved into the darkness of horror and the haunting of horror, mostly through Edgar Allan Poe. And then we had a lot of conversations going on last week. We also had a lot of live talk and call-ins, and we did talk about life and death, and also the Gabby Petito case, which was unfortunately unfolding during that live stream last week. So it was kind of breaking news for last week. And then we're kind of ending this countdown with today's fourth live stream, which is blood red, crimson red. We are now covered and soaked in this blood because we are fully ready to be reborn. This is kind of like our placenta, right? We are now, the next step is kind of coming out of that into the new world, reborn a ghoul on Halloween. And that's the whole concept of these live streams. I have explained to you the whole process, how my mental process worked, because of course, as we were going along, I didn't want to give you any details ahead of time about how the process was going to happen. The topic of every week of the live stream, now you know, I've explained it to you, so you know a little bit more about the psychology behind how I structured these 4 live streams. And Aisha says, been watching from my sick bed, great live, love to all. Thank you so much, Aisha. I hope you feel better very, very, very soon. Antonella Abraham says, fantastic live. Thank you so much. Debbie says, hugs to Aisha. Nicole Papinchuk says, feel better. Speedy recovery, says Jesus. Thanks, guys, says Aisha. Gary says, oh no, Aisha, I hope you're well soon. Thanks, everyone, says Aisha. Feel better soon. Everybody sending you well wishes. Digital placenta, love it, says Pixel Hex says. Yes, that's the idea. We're floating in this digital placenta. And Halloween is not just about dead spirits roaming the earth. It's also about rebirth, because don't forget, you guys, Halloween happens in a time of year where in the northern hemisphere of the planet, harvests are taking place. So it's about harvesting, collecting all the fruits of all the hard labor and work that was invested in it throughout the year. Now is the time to harvest it, collect, gather the thoughts, process them, and reflect upon ourselves. And that reflection is what Halloween is all about. It is about confronting your own spirits. Halloween is about confronting your own self, confronting that dweller on the threshold, dealing with it, being strong enough to deal with it, and then move on. And how do we move on? We are reborn. After Halloween night, we are reborn anew. We begin a new cycle. We begin a new process. So that's why Halloween is also so important to me. And that's the meaning of it for me. Hey, Donnie, Badius Mason, hi everyone. Made it somehow jury duty all day. You had jury duty today? That is creepy, but also kind of cool. Jury duty to me always has this, it's annoying, but it's kind of like a duty that is to be taken seriously and can be very interesting, especially depending on the case. I mean, you might just end up sitting there and they never call you in, but you might be actually witnessing a very, very important case as well. Well, we would hope harvests are taking place, says Jack. Yeah, a lot of people just don't care. Don't ever self-reflect, and there's no harvesting, but we do. And that's all that matters, really, is you taking responsibility for your own self. And then everything else comes later. That's also the conversation we were having about love. And Dracula, it's like, well, if you're only ready to be full, not because you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend that kind of fulfill the half of you that's missing. No, you're only full when you realize that you have to fulfill yourself first and foremost. And then only when you are in balance with your own self, with both of the sides which are inside of you, only then are you actually ready to also commit to somebody else. A lot of people misinterpret relationships to, well, I'm missing something, so you're going to give me that. That's not what a good relationship makes. A good relationship is actually only in the moment when you're already on your own are good to go. Then you're really ready to share a life with somebody else. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. See you all on Sunday. Never forget to never give up on Halloween. Bye.